Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Juubi Naruto x Supergirl Konoha. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by RMB 1949 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Dawn of a New Light. Destruction. Devastation. Depression. These are the final words of the shinobi nations, a world flung into the chaos of war 4 times over. This final war, a war of the damned, destroyed everything. Villages leveled, dead and decaying bodies everywhere. One poor lonely man with sun-kissed blonde hair and piercing blue eyes looks upon it with distaste. If only I had been better, the young man thought while gazing out at the field of bodies that lay before him. Friends undeterminable from those who banded together to fight the Juubi. You did your best, Naruto, it was just more than expected. The Juubi was more than just a biju, it was the Shinigami's will of death, a rumbling only he could hear from the great beast that laid within. Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, a force of nature itself, spoke to the downtrodden man. Just like you, they gave everything to protect their homes, in the end, it just wasn't enough, Kurama spoke while Naruto nodding to the Charka construct. And finally collapsed and for the first time in many years, cried. I hate to rain on our pity party, Kurama spoke in his normal mocking tone, but it is time to move forward. Naruto glared into the vast field of the dead before responding, what the fuck am I to move forward to? Everything is gone and everyone is dead, you inconsiderate fuzzball. Scoffing at the insult, Kurama remained unfazed. What did I tell you when you were given full access to my chakra after your father was brought back with Ito Tenai's? Abandon your fear. Look forward. Move forward and never stop. You'll age if you pull back. You'll die if you hesitate. There is always more to do, fool. I have lived 1,000 lifetimes and I shall live 1,000 more. Naruto smiled slightly through the tears that streamed down his face. Where do I move forward to, old friend? The last of the tailed beasts grinned before chanting in a language Naruto had never heard. His power building up inside, his tails glowing a vibrant red. Naruto could feel the energy building up inside, causing him great pain. And before his eyes the world vanished. Waking up after chakra overload is never a fun thing, your body aches, your mind feels like it imploded, and trying to move is almost torture. Naruto was no stranger to chakra overload, it had become almost a regular thing near the end of the war. Finally trying to open his eye, the blonde managed to squint through the bright sunlight while trying to get up. What the hell? Kurama, where are we? Laughing at his retainer's question, Kurama remained silent. Naruto finally adjusted to the influx of light and saw a sign that read welcome to Smallville. The fuck, Naruto shouted, what does that sign say? Why is it written all funny? Kurama laughed even harder inside of his host, still not giving anything up as to what happened. Naruto sighed before heading in what he hoped with the direction of a town. The town itself was only a few miles away from the sign, and using his training Naruto started roof hopping out of people's view. Finding a relatively quiet roof, he chose to watch the people below and figure out what Kurama had done. Since Kurama isn't playing fair, let us deduce, Naruto thought while overlooking the people and the strange metal boxes running over the road. People are alive, so that should be an indication that I am not in the elemental nations anymore. I don't understand the language spoke from what I can hear, or read it for that matter. Naruto looked over the signs to what he believed to be stores and restaurants. However, he couldn't confirm either way due to lack of knowledge. I'd have to say you sent me to another world, Naruto finally asked the beast within. I thought it might take you longer, the demon said finally, though not just another world, another reality altogether. No shinobi, no Juubi, a place where even you can move forward. Naruto gave a sad smile and knowing his home was gone, nothing left but a barren wasteland of death and decay. First step is learning the language and history, I guess. Moving back from the roof, Naruto dug out his storage scroll before unsealing his civilian clothes. A simple pair of khaki cargo pants, a black muscle shirt, a light multi-purpose blue jacket, and basic black shinobi sandals. Quickly undressing and redressing, he looked on with a sad smile at his shinobi uniform. He had most of it since day one when Kakashi had taken him in. Maybe this time it will be different. I can be someone else. His konoha headband, his face mask that matched his sensei's which connected to a skin-tight chakra armor shirt, black cargo pants with double knees, his belt with all his scrolls and tools, and finally the coat of his father's, the white coat with red flames, which struck fear into the hearts of all Yama shinobi. I had to fight for you, I had to protect you because it is what I was meant to do, but now I can do what I want. I will never forget any of you, I promise, but I need to find a new way to live, Naruto told himself, sealing the uniform up in the scroll that held his civilian clothes. Naruto stuck the scroll into one of the mid-level pockets inside his jacket before hopping off the roof into an abandoned alleyway. Now let's go find a library, Naruto said to himself, walking through the crowd without a care in the world, taking in the sights as he went, trying to find what he was looking for. all the while keeping an eye out for any store that might perk his interest. A few did, however he would not stop in any of them due to not knowing the language or knowing if his money would be worth anything. As Naruto was wandering around town with no luck, he somehow managed to run right smack dab into someone, completely knocking them over. Upon realizing what he had done he quickly started apologizing and offering a hand. "I know you can't understand a word I am saying, but I am so sorry. Please forgive me, I was lost in thought and not paying attention to where I was going." Finally getting a good look at who he knocked down, Naruto felt his cheeks flush. The downed person was a young woman about his age, with platinum blonde hair, beautiful pale blue eyes, wearing short blue jean shorts, and a white tank top. Kara Kent had decided to go into town after having just gotten back from tower duty with the League and needing some R&R. The farm that her adoptive aunt and uncle owned seemed like the perfect place. Jonathan Kent, known to everyone in Smallville as Pa, need a few things from town and she was more than happy to help, grabbing the truck keys while he was working around on the farm. Kara headed into town. Finding what Pa needed took very little time. The town was sometimes too small for her and she felt the urge to look around in case she should anything she might want. It didn't take long for the Kryptonian girl to get lost in her own thoughts and even faster to find herself running into someone who was as solid as a rock. Considering he managed to knock her down by mistake. Looking up she saw a gorgeous blonde-haired, blue-eyed, whisker-faced young man offering her a hand up and speaking in a language she assumed was some form of Asian. Taking the offered hand she looked at him with a questioning face before he started to ask something again. "Well, on the off chance you do understand me, do you know where the library is?" Naruto saw her tilt her head to the side after he asked her the question and came to realize that she had indeed not understood him but took the offer to be helped up. "What did you ask?" Kara asked back with her head still tilted slightly and the other blonde just sighed before looking down. However he immediately raised his head and started doing gestures with his hands that looked really goofy. "God, I hope this works and doesn't make me look like an idiot," Naruto thought while slowing using his hands to draw a building in the air and then pretend to read a book. When she saw him start to pretend to read a book she understood. "Follow me," Kara said before remembering he couldn't understand. So she smiled at him and waved for him to follow. Naruto started to follow the friendly blonde and couldn't help admire the view. Long toned legs, shapely rear end, nice waist. Yup, Naruto was glad to say he followed in the footsteps of his past senseis by becoming a pervert. But not just any pervert, just like his godfather before him, Naruto became a super pervert. He admired everything about the female form, but there was something calling to him about this one. Something almost primal. Supergirl knew he was staring at her ass, and even though it was wrong, and if Clark ever found out he would give her an earful. But Kara couldn't help but give a little extra sway to her hips. It didn't take long until they reached the library, and afterwards Kara smiled and waved at the man while he smiled and bowed politely. With one last glance each Naruto entered the library and Kara headed for the Kent family truck. Barbara is gonna be so jealous. Kara squealed in her head while hopping into the truck, dropping the stuff Pa needed before heading out of town and to the farm. Once he saw the girl leave, Naruto smirked before walking out of the library and around it. Finding an empty alleyway for the second time that day, he jumped to the roof and waited for it to close. "Old habits die hard, eh kid?" Kurama asked, knowing why Naruto wouldn't fully enter the library. "I guess they do, along with the memories that go with them," he responded. Dropping into the shade provided by another building, Naruto got lost in his memories. Kara got back with a slight smile on her face. Dropping the stuff off in the barn with a hello to Pa, she used her super speed and flight to make it into her second-story window in no time. Grabbing her phone she began calling Barb with a big smirk on her face. "What's up, Kara?" the other young female superhero asked, picking up her phone. "Not much, Babs. You wouldn't believe what happened today," Kara bragged with a tone that Barbara knew meant something good had happened out on the farm. "Oh? Save the world out there in Little All, Kansas?" Barbara asked, teasing her blonde friend. Kara laughed at her friend's slight against her home. "No, even better," Kara responded, her voice excited. The other girl lowing while Kara continued, 6 feet tall at least, sun-kissed blonde hair you can see for miles, bright blue eyes that look like the ocean, cute little whisker-like birthmarks, muscles that look yummy enough to eat, and a smile that I swear to God would light up the night. "Damn girl, sounds dreamy," Barbara said. "What is his name?" Kara laughed before telling her how they ran into each other. "And you didn't get his name?" Barbara asked, trying to find out why her friend neglected to get a name. "He might have given it, but it's not like I could understand him if he did," the blonde said with a sigh. "Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully he sticks around and you get to meet him again," Barbara said before letting out a long sigh. "Bit signal?" "Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Kara." Barbara hung up the phone. Kara was used to it by now though. When the bit signal was showing it was all hands on deck in Gotham. Breaking into the library, easy. Creating a few shadow clones to come the library even easier. Once figuring out that his language was Japanese, due to the many dictionaries the library had, he had one clone after another read and dispel until he had a general knowledge of the lang. Following, he had the rest start reading anything that might have the history of the world in it. It took a few hours, but he finally learned that this world had computers too, but far more advanced and for more than just surveillance and medical use than his. He created more clones to browse the web, finding and reading everything they could. Knowing he needed an identity, he quickly made his way to the DMV. Once again, breaking in, easy. Forging an ID with fake information filled into the blanks even easier once he found someone's ID badge they left on the desk, and having a clone read the manual for their software. However, after receiving some information from his shadow clones, Naruto knew his ID wouldn't pass high-up tests, but it was good enough to fake for a bank account and to grab a place to live. Which was all he was looking for. Based on what some of my other clones have found out, my money is actually worth a lot. When a clone had run across the fact that this world used paper instead of gold and gold was considered precious, Naruto figured he wouldn't have to get a crazy job to pay his way. Just something to keep him busy and people's suspicions off. Figuring he should at least get some sleep, he retreated back to the rooftop of the DMV, and after finding a relatively secluded space, he began setting up his sensor net. If you had set that up prior to investigating the town, you wouldn't have bumped into that girl, Kurama said with a smirk. True, Naruto said, but I am glad I did. Nice view, and it was the perfect way to blend in. This place is filled with natural chakra, but I am not too sure if their forces can sense it being used. Didn't want to get in a fight right away, or at all if I can help it. Finally finished expanding his net to a reasonable size, but keeping it closed just in case, Naruto dispelled all of his clones, feeling a massive migraine coming on before passing out. Getting a massive migraine was the perfect way to knock oneself out, at least in his opinion. He had been getting flashbacks and nightmares since the start of the war. There was no reason or rhyme to it, and when he pressed Kakashi, his sensei explained that it happened to all shinobi at some point. As the masked man put it, the mind and soul can only handle so much bloodshed before it reminds us of what we are. And like most things, sleep came to an end as the sun peeked over the horizon, waking up the blonde on the rooftop. Slowly coming to checking his sensor net for any hostile intent while clutching a kunai he kept on him at all times. Finally, after a few minutes of deeming it safe, Naruto sat up and stretched. Slowly he scanning the building signs looking for a bank before finding it. Nodding to himself, he saw that no one was out and about, yet he began roof hopping to the bank. You would figure that the bank would be more protected than just a few tellers and the local sheriff, Naruto thought while landing on the roof and unsealing one of his bank packs. Even after saving the village from pain, Naruto still refused to keep his money in the local banks. He instead kept all of his money in packs sealed into a scroll he kept hidden in a seal on his arm. Shit, we had one squad of Anbu at every bank. Rotating shifts every 4 hours. But he chalked it up to it being a smaller town and little to no crime. Loving the application of Kage Bunshin that was taught to him as a young child by the ever-vigilant Inu, Naruto hopped off the roof and decided to wait until the bank opened. Naruto sat contented on a bench watching people go about their lives. Walking to work, getting stores and restaurants opened. Kids running around the street playing what he guessed was superhero, kinda like the kids back home used to play ninja, and that's when he heard the snort from the demon within. Kids playing ninja? Or children robbed of their innocence? Naruto's past had always been a touchy subject with himself. He rarely even let Kurama make comments on it, as you once said, our world was always in some state of chaos. We needed soldiers. Always. Sighing with a lazy breath, Kurama responded, then what will the soldier who has found peace do? Looking up into the sky, Naruto sighed, his smile fading. Live. Live for them all. Enjoy a peace none of them could. Maybe time will tell where I find myself in this world, but I want peace. The fox decided to chime in on the plans of the only human he had a marginal amount of respect for. Time indeed will tell. But are you sure you honor your fallen friends' memories by living in peace? Or would you better honor them by fighting for it again? Naruto thought on what the fox said before internally shaking his head. No, they fought for peace. If I am all that is left, I must find the peace they were looking for. Kurama let the argument go for now, but he had a feeling his container wasn't as convinced as he was making himself out to be. Hearing the bank doors unlock, Naruto grabbed his pack and headed in. Walking to the first glass office that said new accounts, he politely knocked on the door before heading in. How may I help you today, young man? An older gentleman sat behind the desk, pressed sweet, ready for business. I need to open an account and do a currency exchange, Naruto said, to which the man nodded and motioned for Naruto to take a seat. Asking for ID and a current address, Naruto grabbed his ID, but mentioned he just got into town and currently did not have an address. Sir, I am sorry, but we must have an address on file with you to create a record. Standard policy, I am afraid. Sighing at having missed that in his research, well, can I at least get a currency trade? The man nodded before handing the ID back and grabbing some paperwork. What kind of currency will you be trading in today, Mr. Uzumaki? It's Uzumaki and gold I have acquired in my line of work, Naruto responded, annoyed that the man had gotten his name wrong. Raising an eyebrow at the vague description, gold. Why would someone pay you in gold? Naruto already expected this answer and created a cover story for it. I traveled a lot recently in different Asian countries. All have different currency, however gold spends anywhere. For the odd jobs I performed I requested to be paid in gold. Nodding at the answer, the man drew up the paperwork before making a phone call to the local pawn shop. Mr. Uzumaki, the man began while Naruto face-palmed for the man getting his name wrong again. I apologize, but we do not have a precious metal attendant here, so the pawn shop shall send over someone to verify the amount before the transaction can be completed. The man then handed the paperwork over to Naruto and directed him where and what to fill out. Now I assume since you do not have an address you do not have a phone, correct? The man asked, getting a nod of confirmation. Does that mean I can't get the exchange done? Naruto asked, trying to sound disappointed. Not at all, Mr. Uzumaki, once again Fasipum, we have your photo ID on file showing you are here on a temporary license. Should the gold in fact turn out stolen later on, the authorities will have your picture. Understanding what the man meant, he continued filling out the paperwork until the pawn shop owner arrived. Ah, Mr. Smith, it is a pleasure to see you again, the old banker spoke as a younger man with an apron and magnifying glass over one eye walked in. You to Mr. Bagwell, how's the heart holding up? The pawn shop owner asked, apparently knowing the banker. Much better now that I am on meds, but enough chit-chat, I need you to verify the grade of gold this young man has, Bagwell said, gesturing to the blonde ninja in front of him. Turning to Naruto after Bagwell mentioned him, Smith smiled kindly, well young fella, what you got for me? Naruto placed the finished paperwork on the desk before opening his pack and removing a small roll of Ryo coins. Taking the coins from the pouch, Smith carefully went over them with a set of tools he brought and checking it through the glass over his eye. My word. These are authentic Japanese Ryo coins. Smith turned back to Naruto, how did you get these? Preserved like they are, these are worth quite a lot of money to private collectors. However, they are worth even more as scrap gold. Turning back to Bagwell, Smith explained what the current price of gold was. Right now, Mr. Bagwell, the price for gold is $1,800 an ounce. These Ryo coins are almost 100% pure gold. Turning back to Naruto, how many of these do you have, kid? Naruto gestured to the bag and both men's eyes widened at the thought. Mr. Uzumaki, of course now he gets his name right, we would only have enough to cover a small amount of what you have at this moment for just cash. However, he spoke before Naruto could interrupt, it will be enough to get yourself a place to live and you can come back in a few days and have everything added to an account. Is that agreeable? Naruto pretended to think on it for a few minutes before agreeing. A few ways later and $10,000 cash, told you brat, money talks everywhere. Naruto laughed at the demon while making a beeline for a local diner to grab some food before finding a place to live. Walking in and sitting down at the bar-like thing in the middle, Naruto grabbed a menu, while a polite older woman told him she'd be right with him. Browsing through, Naruto didn't see anything he was familiar with, so what can I get you, young fella? Looking up with a smile, still not sure what to get, well I am not really sure what to get. Smiling kindly at him, new in town. Yeah, I am from Asia, kinda backwoods area, so, what's good? The woman's eyes widened before she smiled again, I always wanted to visit Asia, looks so beautiful. Well, do you like to eat healthy or like some sugar in the morning? It can be beautiful, Naruto mentioned, thinking back to Konoha at its prime. It's gone, Naruto, move forward. But yeah, I enjoy eating mostly healthy, and oka. Occasionally dearie. Smiling at her for getting the right word for him, yeah, occasionally eating unhealthy. Nodding, she took his menu with a wink and smile before leaving a glass of water. And telling the cook at the griddle something before walking off to help some other customers. Naruto didn't have to wait long, and soon there was a plate of what he would later learn to be pecan waffles, bacon, grits, and a biscuit. Keep eating like that, and soon you'll be as big as that Akimichi. All fat and tubby, then you won't have a chance with that blonde vixen you met the other day. Oh, shut up. You're just jealous that you can't enjoy these waffle things. Laughing at his container's change in mood, Kurama went back to sleeping, slightly enjoying the fact Naruto didn't refuse that he was hoping to meet the other blonde again. After getting filled up and paying with an overly large tip, Naruto set out in an attempt to find a place to live. He was looking for a few places on the outskirts of town, with plenty of land for him to use for whatever he may need. He never wanted his training to slack just in case, but at the same time, he wanted to get away from fighting. Hours of traveling with his pack filled with gold, Naruto finally found a place. An old ranch that seemed to have gone into foreclosure. Finding it to be big enough and with enough land, Naruto pulled the flyer out of the dusty holder to see who he needed to contact. Oh great. You have to go all the way back and deal with the snooty douche at the bank, don't you? Naruto sighed before turning around to make the 10-mile hike back into town. Yeah, I do. But it will be perfect and hopefully he will let me buy it with the Ryu instead of giving me shit. If he does hit him with a small wave of killing intent, I am sure he wouldn't want to piss off a rich person, let alone one who could kill him before he realizes it. Naruto sighed, is everything with you all about death? Snorting it is human jail, for a while that was you as well. Kurama took great joy in reminding Naruto what he was like before and through the war. He may not have been bloodthirsty, but Naruto knew how to kill in some creative ways. We are both monsters, you just hide your darkness better than everyone else. Naruto snorted, slowing down to civilian pace as he got a few feet from town. No, I do not hide it, I have just found out how to control it better. Plus there is no point in having it anymore, a peaceful life doesn't need fighting. Ending the discussion again, Naruto entered the bank once more. Heading for Bagwell's office once Naruto knocked before walking in. Mr. Uzumaki. Welcome back, what can I assist you with, the man asked warmly this time, making Naruto's sweat drop. I found a place I wanted to buy and saw it was in foreclosure with this bank. Nodding, Bagwell paged one of the other offices. Mrs. Blanche, we have an inquiry for purchase on the old ranch just before the Kents. Really? That place has been in foreclosure for years. Bagwell nodded, not that the woman could see him. Yes, Mrs. Blanche, and the gentleman here will be paying in cash right now, we just need you to bring the paperwork and the forms to get the utilities turned on. Saying she would be there in a minute, Bagwell stopped the page before pulling out his scale again. I take it you will be paying with those gold coins. Naruto nodded before pulling his pack off and opening it. Yeah, I was hoping I could get by with that. Wasn't sure. Understandable, youngman, real estate can be quite tricky. However, we really want this ranch off our books, so I can promise you, you will get one heck of a deal. Naruto nodded and soon a woman Naruto assumed was Mrs. Blanche walked in. A few hours later and another weighing later, Naruto took his deed and headed to the utilities companies. By lunchtime Naruto had a place to live, utilities turned on, and was slowly making a foothold in this new world. Leaving the water company, Naruto headed out to fill that bottomless pit he called a stomach. Once again not sure what to eat, Naruto kept his nose out for anything that might smell good. While wandering he found a second-hand furniture place and figured he could stop in before grabbing a meal and taking a look at what they had. Now Naruto wasn't a stranger to second-hand furniture, hell his home would barely even sell him third-hand furniture. The stuff here was 400 times nicer than the crap he had. Figuring he had time to come back since it was only midday, Naruto stepped out of the shop and his nose caught a whiff of something meaty. Following his nose and stomach, he soon found himself in front of another small restaurant, but instead of a dinner this one was a cafe-like place. Walking in, Naruto waited by the sign, waiting to be seated. Oh hello, turning to the voice Naruto saw the hostess had returned. Will it be just you dining with us today? Yeah, just me, Naruto spoke with a smile. The hostess nodded before grabbing a menu and a roll of what Naruto guessed was silverware. With a wave the hostess moved into the cafe with Naruto following her. Setting him down at a table by the window, Naruto thanked her before browsing through the menu. I wonder if this barbecue is like the kind back home. Bet Choji would love it here. Naruto thought back to one of his friends and his undying love for barbecue. Naruto decided to honor his fallen friend by getting a pulled pork sandwich with orange BBQ sauce. Naruto turned as he felt someone walk up behind him, resisting the urge to pull a kunai, he instead smiled. Hey there, the waiter said once he reached the table. Looks like you already found something you want. Yeah, this pulled pork sandwich with the orange barbecue sauce, Naruto pointed at the menu. Chuckling at his mispronunciation, just a heads up kid, it's pronounced barbecue. Naruto thanked the man for the help and also asked for a water. Did you want fries or mashed potatoes with that? What vegetables do you have? The waiter, taken back for a second since someone so young was looking at the veggies instead of the potatoes. Well, we got broccoli with carrots or butter beans, he finally answered for Naruto. Beans and butter? That just sounds nasty. Naruto thought, yeah, let's go with the broccoli with carrots. Nodding, the waiter said he would place the order and be back shortly with his drink. Looking outside the window, Naruto just watched as people went by their day-to-day tasks. Okay, this is seriously boring. I have been people watching for 2 days straight now. What do you expect in such a small town? Kurama's voice rumbled, this place is a small town, a quiet place. One that does not suit us. Naruto mentally smiled while taking a drink from the water the waiter left. Doesn't suit you? I am fine living a peaceful life, Naruto responded, I just need a hobby to enjoy to stop me from people watching. Then go join that Justice League we read about. I am sure that would be a nice hobby, rolling his eye, both mentally and physically at the demon's choice of a hobby. I am sure the Justice League would love to have a trained assassin on their team. Naruto's food just got placed in front of him. With a thank you to the waiter, Naruto dug in while continuing his conversation with Kurama. They are all about protecting the innocent and weak. What do you call what you did for Konoha? That actually stumped Naruto. For a long time he knew what shinobi were, hired killers, thieves, bodyguards, and soldiers. Most began training at age 8 when they entered the academy. He however was not given that luxury. But he knew that as long as you were part of the village you protected the civilians inside with your life, just as the Justice League protects Earth. I guess it is the same thing, but would it be worth it? Naruto finally asked the centuries-old being. That is something for you to figure out, kid. Naruto and Kurama had been together for his whole life. And when Kurama wanted him to figure something out on his own, he would be very vague. Which of course drove Naruto crazy. Naruto put it out of his mind and continued to eat in silence. Finishing his meal, Naruto waved bye to the hostess. Strapping his now lighter pack to his back, Naruto began the trek out of town once more, but this time to his new home. Once leaving the main part of town, Naruto speed up to normal shinobi traveling speed and reached his house in minutes. Setting his pack down in the main room, Naruto went in search of the circuit breaker. Finding it in the kitchen was pretty easy, flipping the main breaker and watching as the lights came on gave Naruto a sense of hope. Let's get cracking. Pulling out his storage scroll and removing his jacket, Naruto started to unseal things. Chakra ink and brushes, sealing tags, and finally creating a small army of shadow clones, he directed them to start sealing the house with security seals, explosive and knockout traps. He created a second team of clones to start cleaning up the house, mostly stripping whatever was garbage and throwing it out. Finally he headed down into the tornado cellar and began sealing off the outside entrance. A simple Doton release sealed the doors quite nicely from the inside. Taking his brush and some ink, Naruto began covering the floor, ceiling, and walls with seals. Those are different. Yeah, never got a chance to really try 'em out, but Kakashi-sensei said they are good for fortifying an area underground from attack, Naruto spoke back. Kurama was intrigued, when did that whelp go underground? Remember that Orochimaru was once a Konoha shinobi, Naruto responded, continuing his work. He built all kinds of underground staging points against Iwa back during the Third War. And I assume your first sensei managed to look at a few after he got his permanent case of pink eye. Naruto laughed at the demon's hatred for the Uchiha, you're just jealous that it lets them control you. Snorting at the taunt from the brat, Kurama backfired, well, if you were in my shoes, which would you prefer? To have your body taken on a rampage that you can't even enjoy caused by a mere human? Or to simply be held prisoner but get to feel everything, enjoy everything? I thought you only enjoyed killing, Naruto asked. Homie, no. I have hobbies, the fox responded, which caused Naruto to stop what he was doing. What the hell do you mean you have hobbies? We've been together forever and you've never mentioned anything of the sort. What is a hobby to you? Painting. Painting, Naruto parroted back. Yes, you imbecile. Painting. Kurama yelled, infuriated by Naruto's surprise, why else do you think you and your mother and her grandmother were so damn good with seals? Naruto finally finished the room as Kurama finished his rant. I thought it was a Uzumaki trait. Like a Kekkei Genkai or something. Sighing at the stupidity his container can emit sometimes, Kurama explained, sealing cannot nor ever will be a Kekkei Genkai, you blonde baka. I like to paint, painting is part of calligraphy, sealing is calligraphy mixed with chakra. So there. Naruto was adding his chakra to the array while listening to the rant from his tenant, fair enough I guess. Heading back up the stairs, Naruto saw that his clones were almost finished with sealing and cleaning. He noted he would need to pick up a new fridge, washer, dryer, and furniture. Dispelling his clones, Naruto headed for the master bedroom, once again pulling out his scroll he started to unseal stuff. His futon and clothes were really all he needed to unseal. Setting up the bedroll, Naruto placed his clothes into his closet. Grabbing one of the 3 pillows, Naruto lifted the covers and placed it under. Making sure to lay it slightly on the other one. Grabbing the 3rd pillow, Naruto moved into the closet before shutting the door and leaning up against the side hidden from view. You can pass out on a roof from a migraine yet hide in a closet in your own home. I had my sensor net up, plus no one knew where I was on the roof, Naruto spoke back to the demon, now someone could find me, and I am not taking any chances. Knowing the reason why, Kurama let it go and allowed his friend to get some sleep. Please don't hurt me. A young boy who looked no older than 5 yelled while running from a crowd. All yelling at him, calling him names like demon, monster, murderer. I didn't do anything. Rounding a corner, the young boy found he had nowhere to run to and slowly turned to face the mob. Nowhere to run now, demon spawn. You and that bitch of a mother took our Hokage. And that's when it started, the beating that followed caused Naruto great pain until he passed out. Waking up with a start, Naruto looked around and noticed that he was in a blue painted room. Realizing where he was, Naruto slowly calmed down before getting out of the bed. Walking from the room in the small house and down the hall, the small boy eventually made it to the living room to see a silver-haired man with a wolf mask, reading an orange book. Inu, he spoke, gaining the attention of the silver-haired man, why do they hate me? Closing the book, he rose from his spot before walking to the child, getting down on his knee so he was eye level. They hate you because it is easier than coming to terms with the pain. But why are they in pain? Sighing, Inu picked up the boy and walked to the couch because Naruto, they lost someone important to them. A protector who gave his life for this village and his son's life. But why do they hate me? The boy shouted in his arms, you told me already. My dad sealed Kurama into me to protect the village from some evil. Taking a breath, Naruto continued, why do they hate me and my mom? Placing him on the couch, use their hate, Naruto. Prove them wrong. Inu spoke before getting up to grab a blanket. Placing it over the young man, become their protector. Protect them from everything, beyond what they know. Protect them at all costs, even if it is from themselves. Nodding before closing his eyes, the young boy fell asleep but still heard Inu's last statement. Good night, Naruto, sleep well. Naruto is woken up by a bucket of water in the face. The same silver-haired man stands before him without the wolf mask, but a half-face mask. Wake up, Naruto, he said, putting the bucket down. Time to begin, was all the warning Inu gave him before he attacked. Naruto looked older, instead of 5 he looked 8 and was already a genin. Under the apprenticeship of Inu, Naruto had grown a head taller than most. Wore a similar face mask to cut down on the hate from the villagers and was doing mostly B-ranked missions with his sensei. Currently the two were practicing survival techniques in the forest of death. Naruto would go to sleep and try to predict the attack coming. If he failed and was splashed, they would spar. And they would spar till he passed out. Which, with how brutal Inu was, that didn't take long. One final punch from the sparring match caught Naruto right in the face, knocking him out. Chapter 2. Settling in. How much does that cost? Waking up in a cold sweat, shaking, Naruto hugged himself to stop the tremors in his body. The dreams again. Do you even have to ask? Kurama knew he was right and sent a warming wave of chakra to his host. You need to meditate with natural chakra. It should help recede the dreams again. Balance you out. Naruto nodded at the advice before slowly standing up before opening his closet, clutching the kunai knife he kept hidden in his belt. It wasn't a full-size one, but it was large enough to do damage in the right hands. Seeing he was alone, he grabbed his pillow from the closet and placed it on the futon. Placing the one from under the covers back with the rest, he moved from the room and eventually the house itself. Walking out into his backyard, Naruto found a good spot before sitting down. Drawing on what the toads of Mount Myaboku taught him, Naruto breathed in and out slowly with purpose. Drawing energy in from one of his main chakra points, the one on the tailbone, he could feel his levels equaling out. The downside to perfecting sage mode like he had was balance. He was now always connected to the balance, his personality was, for lack of a better term, the light. Kurama was darkness, and the natural energy he stored for sage mode was neutral. 3 parts to the whole puzzle. And Naruto was thankful for the third part, for it reset his memories of the past and left him in peace. He finished drawing in the energy, storing it in his chakra points for later use if need be, just as the sun was poking up from around the horizon. Walking back into his home, Naruto stripped off his 2-day-old clothes. Reaching his room, he was stark naked, but that didn't bother him one bit. He was used to being naked at weird times. Let's see what to wear today. He browsed through the clothes in his closet before picking up a black version of the pants he wore yesterday. An orange t-shirt with the Yuzu symbol on the back and white, with the same black sandals. Grabbing his pack from out of the closet, Naruto headed for town after locking up and sealing his place. Time to cash out, big A buddy? Naruto asked the centuries-old beast. Yes, but try not to spend it all in one day. It would be bothersome to take more of your packs there, brat. Shaking his head, Naruto continued a slow pace into town. Not bothering with running at normal shinobi speeds, figuring he'd rather take the scenic pace and enjoy the morning air. Hara had woken up fairly early that morning. Clark never told her how restless being a hero made one. Sure, helping him out in Metropolis was one thing, but going from fighting a 100-foot-tall robot that shot nuclear fire to hanging out on the farm was another. She knew she needed some R&R, but damn it, she was bored. After helping Pa with the morning chores, Kara found that she wanted to head into town and go shopping. And hopefully run into that handsome guy again. Oh, she hadn't forgotten the man she literally ran into the other day and was hoping she might be able to get a name. Hey Ma. Kara called through the house, mind if I borrow the truck and head into town? That's not a problem, dearie, just make sure you're home in time for dinner, Martha called back to her surrogate daughter. Smiling, Kara grabbed the truck keys before heading out. While she enjoyed Metropolis life, there was one thing Smallville had it beat at. The morning sunrise, as it slowly peeked over the horizon bathing the once dark planet with light, Kara felt at peace. Driving at a moderate pace so as not to get pulled over, Kara came upon an interesting sight. The blonde-haired young man she met the other day was strolling along the road into town with a pack on his back. He's walking into town, she thought, slowing down as to hopefully offer him a ride. It's like another 5 miles in. Naruto tensed as he felt someone approaching at high speeds. Quickly glancing behind, he noticed it was one of those car things. Figuring to err on the side of caution, Naruto slowly fingered the blade hidden in his pocket. Glad it only took one mission for me to learn from Kakashi-sensei, to always be armed. The vehicle pulled up alongside him, idling at a slow pace while the driver, who he recognized, rolled down the window. "Hey there, learn enough yet to understand me?" she asked with a smile. Naruto smiled back. "I must thank you, miss," he spoke with only a slight accent, "for your understanding of my gestures." Naruto chuckled at her shocked look. "Is there something on my face?" Blushing Supergirl tried to recover some of her dignity. No, nothing like that. Just you couldn't even speak a single word the other day in English, and now I can barely hear your accent." Nodding at her confusion to his seemingly amazing linguistic abilities, "I travel a lot and have a flair for languages." Nodding, Kara looked forward onto the road before turning back to him. "Well, the town is still another few miles in, want a lift?" Raising an eyebrow at the question, Naruto responded, "You aren't scared I'm some crazy lunatic?" "Nah, they generally are more eccentric," she responded with a laugh, "plus I am a big girl, I can take care of myself." She took one arm off the steering wheel to flex an arm jokingly. Nodding, Naruto walked around the now stopped truck before dropping his pack into the bed. Opening the door, he hopped in and the two set off. "So what brought you to Kansa?" Kara asked, trying to learn more about the blonde next to her. Naruto regarded the question for a bit before answering, trying to think of a good cover story to go with the one he made up at the bank. "Change of scenery," he finally said with a sigh. "Change of scenery from what?" Kara asked again, trying to dig deeper into the Engman next to her. "I moved around a lot in Asia," Naruto spoke quietly, "doing quite a few different odd jobs here and there. Just wanted a quiet place to call home." Kara glanced and saw his mood had changed, become almost melancholy, so she felt like lighting up the subject. "Well, mister, there is nothing as quiet as little old Smallville," she said with an excited smile. "By the way, what is your name?" Blinking owlishly, Naruto realized he had completely forgotten to introduce himself. "Ah. Where are my manners?" he shouted at himself. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. By the way, it totally means maelstrom and not fish cake." Laughing at his introduction, Kara introduced herself. "My name is Kara Kent." Nodding at her, Naruto grinned a foxy grin. "It is nice to formally meet you, Kara-chan." Not understanding the add-on to her name, Kara just smiled at him. "So what are you headed into town for?" she asked her passenger. Naruto told her he just bought the old ranch a few miles back and he was looking at getting some stuff for the place. "So shopping then?" Kara asked with a grin. "Gotta love a man who does his own shopping," she thought with an internal grin. "Yeah," Naruto said, letting out a long sigh afterwards. "I don't see how you women can enjoy it so much. It is so boring. You have to compare prices to find the best deal and still hope you aren't getting ripped off." Kara giggled at his reaction, may do his own, but still hates it. Finally ending her giggle storm, Kara tried to convince him otherwise. "True, it can be. But when you find that thing that perks your interest, you can't stop yourself. Clothes, shoes, swimsuits. Well, that's what I look for anyway." Naruto laughed, looking out the window at the cornfields passing by. "Unfortunately, that's not what I am looking for today. I have to grab things for the house that need to be replaced and such." "Ah," Kara said, nodding. She knew not one person that enjoyed shopping for appliances and now understood his dread. "Well, don't worry too much," she said again, trying to lighten the mood. "All the shops in town take care of the residents. Don't want them driving to another town to get what they sell, it's bad for the image." Naruto nodded but remained silent. His thoughts taking him back to his old world and how weaponsmiths reacted if you didn't buy within your own village. "I remember that time Ken 10 about skewered 1010 for special ordering a set of kunai from Suna." Kara decided to stop questioning her passenger further, instead letting him wander in his own thoughts. It didn't take much longer for them to reach the town and Kara parked the truck in the middle of town. Hopping out and grabbing his pack, Naruto bowed to the other blonde. "Thanks for the ride, Kara-chan," Naruto spoke with great enthusiasm. "Not a problem, Naruto," Kara said with a smile and a wave. "Hopefully we bump into each other again soon." The bank was a long and tiring affair for Naruto. Mainly because of paperwork. Naruto despised paperwork probably more than anything else. But with his pack completely empty, Naruto set out in search of the things he needed. First stop was breakfast, however. Swinging by that dinner from yesterday morning, Naruto ordered a sausage omelette based on the recommendation from the nice women. Making quick work of his breakfast and paying with the card he got from the bank, Naruto headed to the thrift store. Walking in, Naruto looked around before finding the furniture section. And of course his attention was drawn right to the burnt orange couch. Flopping down onto it and relaxing for a minute to see if he liked it, he sensed someone approaching and cracked an eye open. "Hello, young man. Looking at buying some furniture today?" Sitting up and bouncing on the couch slightly, Naruto smiled at the older man. "Yup. And I found my first piece." Well, alright, were you looking for anything else? The store attendant asked, and before long Naruto had most of his house furnished. He had gotten a small square wooden coffee table, a high-top kitchen table with stools instead of chairs, a few bookshelves and cubby-style shelves, and a few mirrors for different rooms. Simple stuff for a simple man is what he told the attendant. As they were checking out, Naruto remembered he couldn't just seal everything away into a scroll, so figured he'd ask about delivery. Hey, do you guys deliver? Cause I don't have a vehicle thingy. Naruto asked, scratching the back of his neck while looking away, trying to act embarrassed. Gotta keep up appearances, but man, this sucks. The gentleman behind the counter laughed a little at how embarrassed Naruto was. Of course we do. Just give us your address, and for $50 extra it will be waiting for you on your porch. Nodding, Naruto wrote down his address and paid the $50 extra. Leaving with a satisfied smile at his orange couch, Naruto had thought ahead to ask where he could get appliances and was directed to a hardware store nearby. Finding the store didn't take Naruto very long. Walking in, he started reading the signs above his head till he found the appliance section. Walking up and down the aisle, Naruto wondered what he should buy. The signs on each unit for the refrigerators didn't make much sense, so he passed those for now and headed to the washers. Now those he was familiar with, and after selecting one washer and dryer by grabbing the slips for the register, he headed back to the refrigerators. Thankfully there was someone there who could help him, and shortly he was all paid up and had them delivered to his place. He told M to just leave them on the porch with the furniture that was being delivered as well. Leaving the hardware store, Naruto headed for the general store he saw when Kara dropped him off earlier in the day. But sure enough, before he reached it, the black hole he called a stomach opened up and growled. What time is it? Naruto wondered while looking around for a clock. Finally spying one in the window of a shop. Kami. It's 1 o'clock already. No wonder that damn thing I call a stomach is growling. Moving through town, Naruto found a small Asian place that actually served ramen. He ordered 30 bowls, which surprised the lady before she left. Ramen. 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 Naruto chanted loudly in his head, not breaking mantra once. And of course drive Kurama insane. Shut the hell up, will you? That is super irritating. Nah. He retorted back, you are just jealous of the awesomeness that is ramen. Not bothering to dignify him with a response, the Kyuubi remained silent, but glad that he had stopped with the annoying mantra. The first bowl arrived shortly and Naruto dug in with gusto. Taking just enough time to savor the flavor. The waitress's eyes shot open to the size of dinner plates at his speed before rushing back to inform the kitchen staff to put the lead out of the other bowls. 30 bowls of the food of the gods, and Naruto was finally full. Patting his stomach in pain, Naruto started for the general store. Wow. Naruto turned to find Kara standing next to him, looking into the restaurant's window at all the bowls on the table. You didn't happen to see who ate all of that, did you? Nodding sheepishly, Naruto pointed to himself. You. Yeah, I kinda have a small ramen obsession. Kara looked back to the window and back to him. Dude, that is way more than a small obsession. Shrugging his shoulders, Naruto continued on towards his destination with Kara following. Any reason you're following me? Kara blushed, not registering that she was following him till he pointed it out. Hey, I got nothing better to do, she said, plus you seem like you could use some company. Smiling and thanking her, the two continued to the store. So what was in your backpack? It seems like it lost some weight. Yeah, he confirmed, a bit suspicious. You got some pretty sharp eyes to spot that. She nodded, letting him continue. Well, certain parts of Asia use gold as currency. So I was just turning it all into spending cash. Really? Some people still use gold for currency? Kara asked, quite surprised, considering people still tried to steal it all the time. Yeah, backwater places mostly from what I can tell, Naruto said. They reached the general store fairly quickly. Entering the store, Naruto grabbed a shopping cart and the two started to grab stuff he needed. Which was pretty much everything, and it didn't take long to fill the cart. That was until they ran into the instant ramen aisle. Naruto looked right at Kara with a very serious expression. Kara-chan, please watch my cart, I will be right back. Walking slowly out of the aisle, leaving. Kara with the cart. What the hell was that about? I thought he loved this stuff. Her mental questions was soon answered by the blonde-haired young man riding on the back of a new cart come screaming down the aisle. Yada. Ramen. Oh sweet Kami. Ramen. Moving with speed that she would swear would make Wally jealous, Naruto had filled his new cart with every possible flavor they had. Holy crap. Naruto, you're not even leaving a single packet for anyone else. Turning from his cart, Naruto regarded her with a deadpan look. Before throwing his arm forward, let's not dwell on those poor knaves. Forward to check out in more ramen time. Grabbing his cart with both hands, Naruto kicked off and rode his cart while Kara followed behind him, laughing at his antics. Hello dears, the checkout clerk spoke to the two. Oh Kara, how are you? I am good, Mrs. Cloverfield, how about you? Kara asked the older woman who she came to know in her time in the small town. Just fine dearie, Mrs. Cloverfield said while scanning the items. You and your boyfriend doing some shopping together? Kara immediately blushed. No, it's nothing like that ma'am. Just helping someone new around town. Naruto smirked before deciding to have some fun, faking a heart attack. Oh, the kami have winded me. Naruto fell to the ground clutching his heart with tears streaming down his eyes. The gorgeous Kara-chan has rejected my studly self. What is the world coming to? Naruto cried, rolling into the fetal position before rocking from side to side. Both women just looked at him like he had grown a second head, though the younger of the two had a slight blush. But Kara quickly got over her embarrassment before punting him lightly with her foot. Don't embarrass me. I'm being nice and helping you, Kara yelled at her new friend. Chuckling at the two's antics, Mrs. Cloverfield kept scanning the items till she realized the other cart was filled entirely with ramen. Sweetie, she said, getting the two's attention, you do know you have an entire cart filled with ramen, right? Quickly standing up, tears magically gone, Naruto took on a serious look. Is there a problem with that? Shaking her head in the negative, no dear, I was just checking. Finishing scanning the items and figuring out how much of each ramen he had gotten, the total flashed on the screen. How much for everything? Kara practically shouted while taking a double take at the total. The total is $1,000, Mrs. Cloverfield confirmed for Kara. How much of that is the ramen? Checking her screen before responding, 700. Naruto nodded before pulling out his bank card and swiping it. That is a small price to pay for heaven. Shaking her head at Naruto's love for the noodles and broth, they walked outside. Well, thanks for the company, Kara-chan, but I need to get all this stuff home. Naruto smiled before preparing to leave with both carts. You do know you're not allowed to leave with the carts, right? Naruto stopped very quickly before raising an eyebrow. But how am I to get all this ramen home? He started to tear up, thinking he would have to leave his haul and come back for it. Thinking quickly, Kara figured she could spend a few more minutes with him before heading home for dinner. If you wait just a few minutes, I can grab my folks' truck and you can put it all in the back. The tears vanished once more in a flash and Kara felt herself get wrapped up in a hug, one she enjoyed quite well. Kara-chan is an angel sent from the kami of ramen. While she enjoyed the hug, she felt embarrassed enough for one day, dropping a fist onto his head to get him to stop. Enough, Naruto was on the ground nursing a bump growing up from his hair. I'll be back in a minute, try not to embarrass me any further. Please. Naruto grinned from the ground, I make no promises, Kara-chan. Giggling at the downed boy, Kara left in the direction of the truck. Really? Kurama spoke up for the first time since the restaurant. What is it with you and crushing on freakishly strong women? Hey, Naruto shouted back at his friend, she is not freakishly strong. And what do you mean crushing on her? Kurama let out a deep rumbling laugh. 1. She was holding back incredibly, both times she hit you. And 2. Let us list the woman you have had a crush on. Your teammate, while it was a short amount of time but still counts, your Hokage when you first met her, that Mei chick, that big-breasted Samui chick. Just because I tend to enjoy time with them doesn't mean I crush on every sexy woman that could kick my ass, Naruto said before thinking back to when Kara hit him. Naruto did see her muscles straining to refrain for using force. Touché on the strength thing, but totally not crushing on her, Naruto retorted, but even he felt it half-hearted, his thought drifting back to his home. All the people he lost. Gee, you just aren't ready to admit it yet. Naruto let the conversation die as he saw the truck pull up. Gotta admit though, she is gorgeous. Kara hopped out of the truck and noticed Naruto still sitting on the ground in the spot she knocked him down to. So ready to get going? Nodding, Naruto flipped up before helping her load the stuff into the back. Grabbing shotgun, while Kara once more climbed into the driver's seat, the two headed off towards their homes. Once Naruto had been dropped off and his food placed in the kitchen, Kara asked if he needed help with any of the stuff out on his porch. With a nonchalant wave and saying he got it, Kara climbed back into the truck and headed a little further down the road to the Kent farm. Heading home and pulling her bags of clothes out of the truck, she headed inside to a nice homemade dinner. Welcome back, Kara, Martha said from the kitchen, seeing Kara walk in. Have fun shopping for yourself. Setting the bags down in the kitchen and sitting at the table. Yeah, I did, got some cute new outfits. Smiling at her, Martha nodded before heading out to call Jonathan in for dinner. Dinner itself was a short affair, the three talking about their day. Kara leaving her second meeting with Naruto out of it. That is until she was in her room, calling Barbara. Hey Kara, what's up? Naruto Uzumaki was the first thing out of her mouth to her best friend. What now? Laughing at her slip, Kara explained, that guy's name from the other day, Barb. It is Naruto Uzumaki. Oh, Barbara finally got what she was on about, guess he learned enough to give his name, then. Gee, more than that, Supergirl scoffed, guy apparently has a flair for languages, can already speak almost perfect English. Kara smirked at the gasp on the other end of the line. She could just image Barb's eyes widening. In 2 days, Barb asked, still shocked, that is impressive, girl. The two young women proceeded to talk more about her second meeting with him. Barbara of course laughed about the ramen obsession and even more so at his antics at the general store. Sounds like someone has a crush. Barbara sang out on the other end of the line. Blushing Kara responded, I do not. He's just a nice, attractive, funny, interesting I hate you. Barbara let out an almost uncontrollable laugh once Supergirl finished with her statement. Kara was relieved that when Barbara stopped laughing the subject was moved from her to Barbara's school life and college. And with no bad signal in sight, the girls talked well into the night about random things. You know, Kurama spoke up just as the last of the shadow clones finished putting Naruto's new furniture in place. For a weak human technique, it does have its uses. Nodding, Naruto was slurping down some noodles from a cup of instant ramen. Yeah it does, overwhelming weak opponents, confusing stronger ones, training, and now doing boring shit. It didn't take long for Naruto to get the appliances hooked up, thankfully the way they hooked up was the same in his world as it was here. With everything set into place and his noodles finished, Naruto grabbed his sealing scroll once more and proceeded to unseal quite a bit of stuff. Everything from his shinobi tools and weapons to small things to remember the people he cared for by. Pictures of the rookie teams he and Kakashi helped bail out of trouble every so often. His godfather and second sensei, this one was taken right after the two of them had gotten caught peeping into the hot spring. Both sporting black eyes and busted lips, but smiles that could light up the world. A picture of him and the Sandaime when he was younger, before the man passed. It was him sitting in his lap wearing the Hokage hat while Saratobi smiled at him with his pipe in hand. Another one of him and the Godame, Tsunade, who had become something like a real grandmother to him. Once him and Jiraiya managed to bring her back. The final picture was the one that made Naruto saddest. It was of his old team, Kakashi standing behind three kids. Naruto had his face mask on, but had the same eye smiles as Kakashi. The other two in the picture, the pink-haired Sakura and the black-haired Sasuke, both had looks of accomplishments on their faces. It took a while, but we were finally able to work as a team. And then you recently got a demotion and had to do those terrible D-ranked missions until your team stumbled upon Zabuza. Nodding at the demon's words, yeah the D-ranked mission sucked, but that mission is what truly made us a team. Kurama snorted knowing full well it was also a catalyst to the worst part of Naruto's past. However he refrained from commenting on it due in part to his tenant only looking at the happy side of the event. As Naruto was putting his stuff away the Kyuubi decided to question what they would be doing, so figured out what we are going to be doing. Naruto mentally nodded, yeah, I figured we could actually turn this farm into something. As well as selling the manuscripts for Icha. Sweat dropping at his human counterpart, do you even know how to farm? Not a clue. He said back, but I am sure there's books on it somewhere and there's always that internet. Sighing at his stubbornness, just remember, knowing how to do something is different than actually doing it. Or need I remind you of the incident with the Rasengan when you were first learning it? Naruto's response was simple and elegant, bite me. It's been 2 weeks and I am still not even close to ready to grow anything. I don't even know what to grow, Naruto grumbled in his mind. He had many books checked out at home, a laptop running and downloading more from the internet he had installed the other day, but still no ideas. And you thought standing in this store would help, Kurama asked sarcastically to his jailer, who was currently standing in Feed and Seed, Smallville's farm equipment shop. Yeah, Naruto responded, I've always been a more practical learner. Figured I'd wing it. That is a terrible idea. Last time you tried to wing something you almost got your client killed. Shut up. Like 90% of my plans are winging it, Naruto let out a sigh before picking up another seed packet and reading it. About halfway through he tensed up sensing someone approaching. Turning around he saw an older man a bit shorter than him, graying hair, wearing blue coveralls, and a wicker farmer's hat. So you're the new guy the towns be buzzing about, he said walking towards Naruto with what the blonde could tell was an overfull cart. Raising an eyebrow, why are they buzzing about me? Shrugging his shoulders the man responded, well it's not every day someone shows up with a few $100,000 of gold. Buys a ranch with the gold and turns it into a farm. Naruto nodded before turning his attention back to the shelves. Yeah, not one of my brightest ideas, I have no idea what to do. The older gentleman raised an eyebrow, you bought a farm, with no idea how to run one? Yeah pretty much, Naruto replied. Why on earth would you do that, Jonathan asked while wondering if this guy was crazy. I wanted a change of pace. Seemed like a good one, Naruto sighed before turning to walk away. However he was stopped by a hand on his shoulder, a hand that was almost cut off. Well kid my name is Jonathan Kent, Jonathan said with a warm smile, I am a third-generation farmer and have been doing it all my life. If you need any help I would be more than happy to assist you. Naruto looked at the hand and smiling face of Jonathan Kent, I don't feel any negative emotions coming off him and barely any chakra whatsoever, Naruto thought mulling over the man's offer. Finally he spoke, "I would appreciate that very much, Jonathan-sensei," Naruto responded with a smile of his own. "Sensei?" Jonathan asked confused. "Yeah," Naruto said smiling and nodding, "it means teacher." Chuckling, Jonathan nodded, "Fair enough, kid. You know what you want to grow yet?" Naruto scratched his head and chuckled a bit, not a clue. "Like I said first time, really." "Oh kid, you are in it deep, aren't ya?" Jonathan asked with a laugh to the nodding Naruto. "Well, we are pretty much known for our corn and it is fairly easy to grow, so why don't we start there?" Jonathan said, walking down the aisle with Naruto following. "By the way, hope you don't have a limit on your cart, kid. Things are gonna be expensive today." Naruto nervously laughed, following the older man. "What the hell did I get myself into?" "Oh Kara dear, don't look so depressed," the older woman walking next to her said. The two of them were currently shopping at the general store. "I'm not depressed, ma," Kara shot back at Martha Kent, grabbing a few things from the shelves, "just restless is all. My first assignment was a while ago, and I am ready to be done with the R&R. I am ready to get back into the action." "Well, we are happy for any excuse to keep you around," Martha said with a smile as they turned the corner to the last aisle, "but today you seem to be moppy." Kara shook her head. "Ma, I think you're becoming senile. I am the same as I always am." The two arrived at the checkout lane and once more Mrs. Cloverfield was working. "Well, good afternoon, Martha, Kara," she said, smiling at the two Kents. "Ah, Bridget," Martha said, placing some of the groceries on the line, "how have you been? We haven't had a chance to talk lately, with Kara here stealing the truck every chance she can get to come into town for us. I am beginning to think she wants to go live with Clark in Metropolis. Just the two old people to themselves." "Oh ma," Kara chided, helping her with emptying the cart, "I'm not gonna leave you alone. Plus there is no way I am gonna live with Clark. I wouldn't be able to do anything ever again." Both giggled at Clark's overprotectiveness, while Bridget shared a small smile that got bigger as the two women continued to bicker while she scanned. "Or she is here for the same reason she keeps coming downtown," Bridget said, grabbing both ladies' attention. "I have no idea what you are talking about, Mrs. Cloverfield," Kara said with a nervous laugh, causing Mrs. Cloverfield's smile to get bigger. Martha raised an eyebrow at that. "So Bridget," she began, "what has my niece been up to in town then?" "She's been stalking the new guy in town," Mrs. Cloverfield said with humor, her eyes sparkling with laughter. "New guy?" Martha questioned, looking between her surrogate daughter, adopted niece and her longtime friend. "Oh, I'm sure Jonathan is getting an earful about him at Seed and Feed," Bridget began, "showed up about 2 weeks ago. I heard from Evelyn Blanche that he bought that old ranch house up from you guys with gold. She said he had a few $100,000 of gold." Both Kent women's eyes went wide at that revelation. He said he was paid in gold, but damn. That is a lot of money, Kara thought. He's trying to turn that old ranch house into a farm, according to Leanne Young from the library. Stops in repeatedly to check out any book on farming he can get his hands on, Bridget finished. Martha nodded and smiled, good to know some youngsters have a good head on their shoulders. "But how does Kara come into this?" Martha stole a glance and caught her blushing. "Well," Bridget continued, seeing Kara wouldn't, "she was helping him grocery shop for the first time. And she's run into him at the library quite a few times since then." "Oh really?" Martha said with a smirk, glancing at Kara, "Thanks for sharing, Bridget. It has been a great trip." "Kara, load up the truck," Martha said, heading out of the store with a smile, "I'm gonna go find Pa." Kara sighed, shaking her head, "Thanks a lot, Mrs. Cloverfield. Appreciate it so much," she stated, dragging out the O before pushing the cart away to the laughter of Bridget Cloverfield. "Teenagers," she muttered to herself, "never appreciate the teasing of us old-timers." "Well kid," Jonathan said as the two exited the store, "they will have everything over there later this afternoon. So I should be there around 5 in the morning tomorrow to start your first lesson, sound good?" Naruto nodded with a smile, "Yes, Jonathan-sensei. Shouldn't be a problem at all," he responded, pushing an industrial cart with mud tires on it. If one looked closely they would see it was almost the same size as a grocery cart, just deeper and for use off-road. "Still though," Jonathan began while scratching his head, "why did you buy the cart? You won't really have a use for it growing the corn." Naruto chuckled, "Well, this nice girl Kara gave me and my groceries a ride home a few days back. Figured instead of hoping for rides with my food I could use this," he finished, tapping it with his foot. "Did you say Kara?" Jonathan asked, surprised that Naruto still hadn't put two and two together. The blonde nodded, "Yeah. Is she distantly related to you by chance? I know you guys have the same last name, but she seems to spend a lot of time in town, so I figured you were like a second uncle or something." Jonathan just blinked, so he did pick up on that we were related, but how come Kara never mentioned him? Martha probably knows something, she always knows something. "Well," Jonathan said, finally finding his voice, "I am actually her uncle. I'm surprised she hasn't mentioned you at all, or my wife and I to you. I didn't even know there was someone new in town until this morning. Very strange." Weird, Naruto thought both of the shared a look before shrugging their shoulders and at the same time said, women. Smiling at each other they both broke out in laughter. You're a good kid Naruto, Jonathan said patting him on the back. Well don't you two look as thick as thieves, both turned to find Martha Kent standing there with a smirk. Hey dear, Jonathan said with a smile and wave, you and Kara all done with groceries? Yes we are, Martha said walking up and extending her hand to the blonde standing next to her husband. I know Kara and my husband have both probably told you about me, but I am Martha Kent and it is very nice to meet you young man. Not wanting to be rude, Naruto smiled and took the hand giving a polite shake. Naruto Uzumaki. I have a feeling we are gonna be seeing a lot of each other. Jonathan smacked himself in the face when he saw the playful glint in Martha's eyes. Oh you and Kara are already a couple. That was quick, even for her. Naruto's eyes shot to the size of dinner plates before shaking his head no as fast as humanly possible. Nope. Not to be rude, but we hardly know each other. What I meant was is Jonathan-sensei has offered to teach me how to farm. Martha looked to her husband who nodded patting Naruto on the shoulder again. Yup dear. This young man has not the first clue on how to farm. Figured I pass down my knowledge to someone. You know since Clark has his reporting job and whatnot in Metropolis. Martha nodded with a polite smile as the Kent's truck pulled up. Hey ma, Kara said hopping out of the truck, did you find P? Kara stopped dead as she got out of the drive seat and saw a mop of blonde spiky hair standing next to Jonathan Kent. Naruto, she said with a slight blush, I figured you would be at the library. What are you doing here? Both Jonathan and Martha shared a look and smirk watching the two young adults converse. Well I've never been too good with book learning, so figured I'd just give it a whirl, Naruto said with a laugh, but after staring at seeds for about 45 minutes before Jonathan-sensei came by and introduced himself, I realized that it was a bad idea. But thankfully he has offered to be my sensei in the ways of farming. Naruto finished his explanation striking a pose causing all three Kents to sweat drop. Right, Kara said dragging out the eye and shaking her head, I guess I will see you around the farm as well as the town. Naruto nodded, yup. Hope you don't mind too much. Kara shook her and was about to speak again before Martha cut her off, well it was nice meeting you dearie, but we have perishables about to go bad, so we are heading back. Would you like a ride home? You are on the way. No, but thank you, Naruto said, I have a bit more shopping to do and I enjoy the walk back. Martha smiled again before nodding, very well dear. Stay safe and we will see you around. With one last thank you and handshake to Jonathan the four went their separate ways. So why am I doing this by hand if we bought that giant land tiller? Naruto questioned Jonathan as he was taking a slight break. Because once you learn how to do it by hand using the tiller is a breeze. Plus you won't be reliant on it when it breaks, Jonathan said with a smile in between sips of iced tea. He is right you know, Kara said with a smile cleaning up the last of the two's lunch. Last year our tiller broke down 3 times. All of us have to go out there to keep everything running. Naruto sighed before grabbing his hoe and nodding, makes sense, but it still sucks. The two Kents laughed at the blonde as they looked at the first field almost full-tilled and ready for seeding. It had been 1 week since Naruto met the rest of the Kents that currently lived in Smallville, and it had been interesting. Naruto helped direct the delivery of all the heavy equipment into the unused barn. The next morning just as promised Jonathan showed up at 5 in the morning and had Naruto working from sunup till sundown, tilling the land. Jonathan Kent being the practical man he is didn't sit back and watch. Oh no, Jonathan was shoulder to shoulder with Naruto helping him every step of the way and teaching him as much as he could. After the first day and Jonathan making a slight joking comment about Naruto's ramen habit to Martha, the two female Kents had been hard at work making the two lunch every day. Of course Martha had Kara deliver it once it was ready with a fresh pitcher of tea for Jonathan. It's not the fact that I think he's wrong, Naruto said taking one last sip of water before grabbing his hoe and heading off his porch, it just sucks. Jonathan nodded solemnly and the two began the trek to the back of the first field. When she saw the two of them out of sight, she smiled before dashing off at the speed of light back to the Kent's farm. Ugh, Naruto grunted plopping down onto his couch exhausted, I think I would rather fight in S-class shinobi than hand tool again. I told you, Kurama chided his jailer, studying and knowing is completely different than doing. At least I have help, damn good help. Smirking Kurama couldn't help but respond, the blonde with a nice ass isn't helping you. Just the old man. And he's damn good help you jackass, Naruto responded rolling over and staring up at his ceiling. But I will say, Naruto continued, I feel restless. Almost incomplete. I miss them so much, he commented looking over to the pictures of his smiling friends. You can't change the past kid. No one can, Kurama's voice rumbled soothing through his mind, just keep doing what you said you would. Live the life they can't. Enjoy the peace they couldn't. Naruto mentally nodded before sitting up and grabbing hold of the clay sake bottle sitting on his coffee table. Bottoms up guys, raising the bottle to the pictures he began drinking. Chapter 3. Here come the men in tight tights. It had been 2.5 months since Naruto was literally dropped into his new world. His farm was coming along well, all the fields had been tilled and seeded with crops springing up to about hip height. Jonathan had taught Naruto how to use all of his equipment and for the most part just checked in on him and the crops about once a week since the initial tilling and seeding lessons. However, Kara had been at Naruto's pretty much every other day, either bringing him lunch or going downtown with him. Though she was amazed about his adamant decision to not buy a car and was always amazed by the fact that he would use that car to pick up a load of ramen a week. Naruto refused to buy a vehicle, mainly because he enjoyed the walk to and from town. It was a nice play to relax and take time to enjoy life. Occasionally Kara would accompany him. The two had become the talk of the town with a pool going on for when they finally got together. But both were adamant about just being friends. Speaking of walking, we find our blonde hair subject currently walking into town with a cart he purchased. He was heading there for one purpose, to restock his ramen supply. The walk with the cart always took a little longer because he found out the hard way it would not handle the speeds of shinobi travel. I really wish they would keep the debris off the road, Naruto mentally grumbled thinking back to the day he realized he couldn't run full speed with the cart. You have to admit it was funny when you were running behind it at almost full speed so no one would see you. And then it hit that rock and you came to an immediate stop before being flung over it. Oh shut up you furball, Naruto mental chided. The Kyuubi smirked, payback's a bitch ain't it? Naruto just sighed glad that downtown Smallville was in sight. Making a beeline for the general store Naruto entered with his personal cart and headed to his favorite aisle. What the hell, Naruto shouted at the top of his lungs. Naruto practically teleported to the front of the store, dragging his cart behind him like a loon. Mrs. Cloverfield, what happened to all the ramen? It's all gone. Normally you get it my replacement order by Tuesday and today is Thursday. What happened? Naruto was shouting in crying crocodile tears to the lady up front that always checked out his purchases. She smiled, knowing the tears were fake by this point. The poor young man loved the noodles a little too much in her opinion, but she wasn't one to judge. Naruto dear stop your crying, it isn't very manly and wouldn't Empress Kara now would it? She asked sweetly with that grandmotherly scolding tone. Naruto stopped, looking around to make sure he wasn't going to be bopped on the head by his friend and then remembered, oh yeah, she's visiting her cousin. Mrs. Cloverfield shook her head at his antics, when are you gonna ask the poor dear out? Naruto almost fell over in surprise from the question, with the looks you send each other when you're both in town, it has caused pretty much the whole town to go into a pool as to how long you can go before she asks you. I appreciate the whole town getting involved in my love life, but we are just friends. Naruto said, which was true. They would see each other in town every so often and hang out for a bit. Whether it was at the library, grabbing a bite to eat, or her following Naruto as he clears the store of its ramen. Yes well anyway, Mrs. Cloverfield said dropping the subject for now, the reason why we didn't get any ramen in this week is because the factory is holding a customer appreciation fair. Reaching under her desk she procured a flyer handing it to Naruto. It is in Metropolis and will be taking place Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Naruto had stopped paying attention to her when his eyes found the statement as much free ramen as you can take home Naruto dear, did you hear me? Yada, he shouted before hugging Mrs. Cloverfield, grabbing his cart and darting off home to prepare for his trip to Metropolis. Once outside of town Naruto hefted the cart into his hands and ran at full blinding chakra enhanced speed. Making it back home in record time Naruto started to throw clothes into his pack, how on earth do you plan on getting to Metropolis? Naruto was already one step ahead of Kurama, gonna Google Maps that shit and run at top speed. Kurama sighed before pointing out one flaw in his plan, who's gonna watch the farm while you're gone? Naruto didn't even bother to slow down his pace, with his clothes haphazardly thrown into his pack and his computer on and mapping out his path. I'll see if the Kents can watch it. It is only for a few days, plus nothing major has to happen for another week according to Jonathan-sensei. Finding that the boy had actually thought this through, Kurama found he had no further point to argue and resigned himself to craziness. After grabbing his directions from his printer, Naruto slipping on his pack before heading down the road to the Kents' place. Knocking on their door Naruto waited for Martha to open it, she was always in the house doing something interesting, normally with food. The door opened shortly after and Martha smiled politely at him, hey there dearie, did you need Jonathan for something? Or are you finally here to ask Kara out? Naruto was about to respond until the second question she asked and his face just fell, why does everybody keep asking me that? Martha just shot him an amused look and Naruto finally responded, but yes I do need to ask Jonathan-sensei something. Well give me just a minute dear and I will go fetch him, Martha said motioning for Naruto to come in and wait in the kitchen while she headed out to find her husband. It didn't take long for the two to come back, hey there kid. Martha said you had a question for me? Naruto explained that he was headed out of town for a bit and need him to just check on the field when he had time available over the weekend. "That's not a problem, kid," Jonathan said, "I got it covered." Martha though had another question for him, "Where are you going? It must be far if you aren't gonna be able to watch your place and you don't have a car." "Ha, hole number 2 in your plan," Kurama shouted at him, "there's no way Naruto would be able to dig himself out of this one." "I am going to Metropolis for the weekend," Naruto said, and before the two could ask how he was getting there Naruto responded, "I am taking a bus, already got my ticket and everything, I am meeting at downtown shortly." Both were glad he wasn't going to try and walk there, but still weren't sure as to why he was going. Kurama was crying in his mind due to the fact he was going to have to put up with a super ramen crazed Naruto for a weekend. "You wouldn't happen to be going just to visit Kara, would you?" Martha had asked. All three knew she was currently apartment watching for her older cousin. But what Naruto didn't know was that meant she was actually on call with the Justice League. "Because if that is the case you have our blessing to finally ask her out on a date," Martha finished up before Naruto could answer. "Wah?" Naruto spoke loudly, trying not to shout in their home. "No. I am going to the ramen factory for customer appreciation weekend," he said with way too much excitement, "as much free ramen as I can take home." Both just gave him a look, well aware of the bottomless pit his stomach was when it came to the noodles. Hell, the whole town knew, the general store had to order 2 separate ramen orders, one for him and one for the rest of the town. "Alright dearie, if you change your mind though you still have our blessing," Martha said with a smile and gleam in her eye. Jonathan sighed before facepalming, "Martha, you really need to lay off him about that." Scowling at her husband she didn't bother responding. Naruto bid them goodbye and walked at a normal pace till he was out of sight. Time to put the lead out. Jumping into gear Naruto sealed his pack before sprinting off at speeds on the Flash would be able to follow. Reaching the city in about 10 hours was pretty good timing. Naruto only had to break once for the bathroom. Shinobi traveling is the only way to go, he thought, especially when you don't have to save chakra for fighting when you reach your destination. Naruto quickly scouted the area around the factory looking for a hotel nearby. Paying for the 3 nights he was going to spend in it, Naruto made it to his room where he flipped on the news while dropping his pack. Supergirl and Steel, with the help of Booster Gold, managed to stop Metallo's bank robbery from earlier this morning. Though many are wondering where this new hero came from, was the only part Naruto listened to while prepping a new storage scroll to hold all his ramen. "Hey Kurama," Naruto spoke up to his longtime tenant, "you may want to take a nap with super strong shields. Cause it's gonna get crazy." Kurama shook his massive head within the mindspace of the boy, "Already ahead of you kid. Been building the shield since you left." Nodding, Naruto finished with the scroll, stripping down to his boxers. Naruto stuck a kunai knife under his pillow before drifting off to sleep. Waking early, but slowly, Naruto checked his surroundings, fingering the blade that lay beneath his pillow. Naruto moved with purpose once he found that he was alone, even with being a censor he still hated sleeping in the open. But with one look to the small closet he knew he would have to. Not bothering with his morning rambles with Kurama figuring him to be asleep with the shields up, Naruto began showering and preparing for the day. It only took him a few minutes until he was ready. Grabbing his pack so he could fill it up, after dumping his clothes out, Naruto headed for breakfast. Which he made a short affair to make sure he had plenty of time at the factory. Paying and leaving, Naruto made a beeline for the place where dreams are made, well at least his dreams. What he wasn't expecting to see was Kara, with 2 men and a woman he wasn't familiar with. "This is so unfair Clark," Kara said while pouting. Standing with her was her cousin Clark Kent, the Man of Steel in disguise, Jimmy Olsen, and the very famous Lois Lane. "Kara, I promise we will spend some time together after this is over," Clark said apologetically to his cousin. She had been watching the city for almost a week while being on call for any world problems while he had been off planet. "Yes, Mollerville," Lois cut in, her nickname for Kara, "it shouldn't take too long. We are only here for their opening speech." The Daily Planet sent their 2 top reporters pretty much last minute due to not hearing out the craziness until last minute. Nobody there suspected that a ramen factory would be hosting a 3-day customer appreciation weekend, let alone giving away free product. "Yeah," Kara said, used to the nickname, "it just sucks cause the one person in the world who would probably enjoy this most isn't here." Sighing sadly, Kara's thoughts drifted to her friend back in Kansas. "I am sure he'd sell his soul to be here," she smirked at her own thoughts, drawing the attention of both males. "Who would that be?" Jimmy asked. He would never admit it, but he had a small crush on the young woman next to him. "Yes Kara, who would that be?" Clark asked, still out of the loop of the new man in her life. But the Man of Steel was about to get included in the loop. A flash of blonde was all the 4 saw before a 6-foot-tall young man was picking Kara up and swinging her around like a loon. "But it doesn't suck anymore Kara-chan. I am here to enjoy the gift from Kami that he decided to bless this poor soul with." The large veins started to pulse on Kara's head. knowing full well who would manage to embarrass her this bad, in front of her cousin and his friends no less. "Naruto put me down." She screamed at the blonde before hammer dropping both her arms into his head. Which promptly caused Naruto to stop his moment and end face first into the ground. Kara, not prepared for the sudden stop of movement or to be let go of, landed on her rear. Getting up and rubbing her pretend sore hindquarters, Kara viciously grabbed Naruto as he was propping himself up and held him in the air by his collar. "What have I told you about embarrassing me?" Kara started to shake him while he was in the air, which caused many onlookers to chuckle in amusement. Watching a 6-foot-tall athletic blonde man get manhandled by a 5'2" petite girl was very funny. "You said not to," Naruto shouted, each word stressed to the limit through the violent shaking to make sure his tormentor could hear him. Sighing, Kara dropped her friend on the ground who groaned from dizziness. Naruto stood up after a few minutes under the glare of Kara. Sorry about that, Kara-chan," he said, smiling while rubbing the back of his head. The other three finally getting a good look at him. He was easily 6 feet tall, bright blue eyes, sun-kissed blonde hair, whisker birthmarks on his cheeks. They also noticed what he was wearing. He had on khaki cargo pants, a gray skin-tight muscle shirt, khaki sandals and a huge pack. "Why do you have your pack with you?" Kara asked, finally realizing he had it on him. "The flyer mentioned free ramen, so I figured I'd take as much as I can carry." Shaking her head at his antics, Kara had completely forgotten about the other three in their group, that is until Clark cleared his throat. Excuse me Kara, but mind introducing us?" Kara blushed lightly. Clark, this is my friend Naruto. Naruto, this is my cousin Clark, his co-worker Lois Lane, and their photographer Jimmy Olsen." Naruto waved to the three with them returning it. Before any other questions by either party were asked, they had been interrupted by a balding man in a nice suit. "Excuse me," he said, gathering their attention, "you wouldn't happen to be Naruto Uzumaki, would you?" Definitely caught off guard by the man, Naruto nodded while slipping both hands into his pockets. To everyone he looked like he was being casual, while in reality he was grasping the rings of the kunai hidden just below the pocket line. "Yes I am," Naruto responded on edge, but let none of it though in his voice. The older gentleman smiled brightly before walking up. Naruto's shoulder tensed as he got ready to draw his blades. His tense went unnoticed by everyone except Lois. "What the hell?" she thought, it's like he's expecting to be attacked. Reaching arm's length away, the man stuck his hand out for a handshake. "I am chairman and CEO of the Bumblebee Ramen Company. I just want to thank you personally for helping us turn quite a large profit this quarter." Blinking, Naruto slowly took his hands out of his pockets before shaking the man's hand. "It's not a problem," Naruto said, smiling, happy it wasn't an attack. "Why would the CEO be thanking just one customer before the opening speech?" Lois asked, curious behind the CEO's actions. "Well, Ms. Lane," the man said while turning to face her, "this young man right here spends about $1,000 a week on our products. He is in fact our largest single customer in the history of our company." The three Metropolites' eyes widened before screaming, "What?" While Kara, who managed to walk next to Naruto through the whole thing, just shook her head. "I thought you said you cut back on how much you were eating it." Naruto looked guilty. "Well, I did cut back." Once again the other three yelled. "I used to spend close to $2,000 a week on it." The CEO laughed at the boy. "Well, young man, we appreciate you coming and of course your business. And I must say you and your girlfriend make quite the couple." Both blondes blushed before simultaneously replying, "We are not a couple. We are just friends." Turning, the two looked at each other after hearing what they said in stereo, before looking away blushing. The CEO bid them adieu and headed back to the inside of the factory to prep for his opening speech. While they waited, the four became better acquainted. With Clark watching the boy with a close eye. Clark was listening with his super hearing and could tell the boy was lying about his past. For what reasons he didn't know, but he would be sure to have Batman run a check on him when he got a chance. The small talk ended when the factory doors opened and the guests were asked to come inside. The opening speech was small and short, thankfully for Lois it was anyway. "And now if you all will follow me, we will tour the factor." The large mass of people began to get up and follow the CEO and chief foreman. "Wow, this place is awesome," Naruto shouted, much to the amusement of Kara and the cringe of the other three. "Smallville, why are we staying?" Lois asked, ready to get out of there. "I don't know about you, Lois, but I am staying to keep an eye on my cousin now that the story is over." Lois smirked, "What, don't trust the guy?" Clark nodded, replying, "Some of the things he said don't add up to me." Lois nodded, "Yeah, I am with you on that, Smalls." Raising an eyebrow at her, Lois decided to explain, "I'm an ace reporter, I know when people lie. He's good at hiding it, but he was." They kept walking with Jimmy out of earshot. He was busy taking pictures of the factory. "Plus if you watch carefully, he tenses up when anyone he doesn't know comes near him," Lois continued. Clark decided to humor her and watched his body language carefully and finally noticed it. Anytime someone got within 3 feet of him, Naruto would suddenly tense up and prepare for an attack, one that thankfully never came. "How did you notice that?" Clark asked, amazed that he missed it at first, yet Lois saw it right away. "I've interviewed my fair share of soldiers and police," she said. "To me it looks like he is suffering from a fairly mild case of post-traumatic stress disorder." Clark looked to her and then back to him. "PTSD? Really?" Nodding, the two kept pace and were about to continue until Jimmy caught up. Clark, lost in thought on this new guy, didn't pick up the distinct sound of gunfire until it was too late. A toy plane crashed into the factory, followed by a fleet more. Behind them was Toyman riding on one and controlling the others. People started to scream and shout and get out of the factory as quickly as possible. Naruto grabbed Kara, throwing an arm over her shoulder to keep her head down, and ran towards the other three. "We have to get out of here now." Naruto spoke with authority, all his childlike innocence gone. The other three nodded and kept low while heading for the exit. They made it out with a good portion of the crowd. Clark checked on Kara to keep up appearances of being normal humans, before quickly getting lost in the crowd to change and get to work. Naruto turned back to the building. "Who the hell was that?" "Toyman," Lois responded with disgust, "though why is he attacking the factory?" Naruto didn't bother responding to the question, instead started to feel out the factory for anyone left. Spotting a bunch of chakra signatures on the top level, Naruto quickly darted off in the direction of the building. "Hey wait," Lois shouted, noticing him run off towards the building. "Is he crazy?" Jimmy didn't feel like answering, mainly because from what he'd seen of Naruto, he'd have said yes. Entering the building, Naruto saw no one around. Quickly pulling a scroll from his pack pocket and shedding his pack. He bit his thumb, spreading blood over a seal on the scroll. Doing a quick series of one-handed seals, Naruto slammed the scroll into the ground before being enveloped in a cloud of smoke. When the smoke cleared, Naruto stood in his shinobi gear. His sandals, now black, led up to his pants, which had the bottoms tied off with black bandages. The pants were black double-knee cargo pants, filled to the brim with weapons, his chakra armor, shirt, and face mask. His headband he altered to cover his blonde hair, and finally his father's wide and flame coat hid his gear belt. Running forward with a chakra-enhanced leap, Naruto made it to the second floor. Not breaking stride, Naruto quickly found the stairwell. Kicking the door open, he began jumping like a large cat from level to level, till he reached the top. "Shit," he thought, making his way up, "I haven't run into a single one of those planes yet." His eyes hardened. That bastard has them trapped, must be using them for a hostage situation. Landing on the railing of the final floor, Naruto closed his eyes and felt out for the chakra signature of the loon on the plans. Artificial, Naruto thought when he found a strange one circling in the air, just like Sasori. Naruto grabbed a kunai in his left hand while he filled each space between his fingers with shuriken in the right. Squatting, Naruto pushed off the railing and through the closed door. Toyman had his plane circling around the group of people he managed to chase up the factory. Now then, they heard him start, "We are going to wait for the game to begin. All we need before we can play is Superman." Toyman spoke with his creepy voice, so who wants to be the first to cry in pain for him to hear? He spotted a terrified daughter with her equally terrified mother. "Well my dear, you are first." Using his plane, he stopped circling and ran at the two in a dive bomb. Lining up his target, he prepared to fire before his attention was drawn to the door bursting open. A figure in white hurled something at him before tucking into a roll. The objects went too fast for Toyman to track or avoid. With a heavy thunk sound, the shurikens landed into his plane, pushing it off course from the mother and daughter. Toyman turned the plane around to line up a shot against the now stationary man. "You're not Superman," the demented toy shouted. "I want to play with Superman." Seeing the plane open fire at him, Naruto jumped to the side, landing on the wall. Running up it to avoid the automatic fire from Toyman's swarm of planes. "You're cheating. No fair." Naruto, still not bothering to respond, flipped off the wall and drawing a second kunai, flung both of them at two of the planes. Two small explosions quickly followed. Landing on the floor, Naruto went through a series of seals before slamming his hands together and quietly speaking, "Juden. To Tapa." The result was a massive wave of wind smacking into a majority of Toyman's deadly squadron. The force of the wind cut the planes to pieces. "What was that?" Toyman asked and wondered before Naruto did another seal, causing the shuriken in Toyman's plane to start glowing. "Oh, that doesn't look good," Toyman said in almost childlike wonder. Sure enough, the embedded shuriken exploded, forcing the man out of the sky and hard into the ground. With the control unit to the other planes destroyed, they quickly ceased function before falling into the ground, breaking on impact. Toyman recovered as the man in white closed in on him. Pulling what looked like a water gun out, he was about to fire. Until a glowing kunai cut through the gun, causing acid to spill on him, quickly melting his arm. Scared for probably the first time ever, Toyman quickly held up his good arm. I give. Just take me to the police." Naruto did not stop moving forward. He slowly dropped his right hand into his shuriken pouch, pulling out another set, all within the spaces between his fingers. rearing back his hand to finish the demented man with a fistful of spikes. Kara and Clark snuck off as fast as possible once they had reached the outside. Quickly shedding their normal clothes in the alleyway, they sped off back toward the factory. Finding the police had set up a perimeter, Superman approached them. "Officers, what seems to be the situation?" One of the officers turned to look at him. "Toyman has trapped a bunch of hostages on the top floor. We think he was looking for you too, but we aren't sure." Superman raised an eyebrow at the officer. "Why do you guys think that?" "Because," another one explained, "he's hit quite a few places around town. We can only guess he was trying to lure you out." Nodding and thanking the men, Superman and Supergirl both took to the skies to scan the building with their X-ray vision. "I've got him," Supergirl says, pointing to the top level of the factory, "but wait, there's someone in the stairwell." Both supers turned their vision onto the mysterious figuring in the stairwell, and before their eyes they watched as he leapt into the room. In the span of 2 minutes he had completely destroyed Toyman's swarm of planes with almost graceful ease. What they didn't expect to see was the way the man disarmed Toyman, causing the acid to spill on his arm and melting it off. "We have to get in there now," Superman shouted, releasing the mystery person was most likely going in for the kill. Both shot forward and flew through an open window. They landed into the building just as the man in white stuck his hand into his pouch, pulling out bladed weapons and pulling his fist back. Racing forward in a blur, Superman grabbed his wrist before he could finish the job. "That's enough, he's finished." Superman didn't get to finish his statement as he was hit in the temple by a well-placed left hook. Ugh. Dropping the man's wrist, he stumbled back, but his opponent gave him no breathing room. Quickly bringing his knee into the stumbling man's stomach, Naruto didn't even register who it was. All he knew was that someone had interfered, and that was something you just don't do with shinobi. The knee to the stomach sent Superman back. However, he recovered quickly. Moving in on the hero, Naruto placed his left fist perfectly into Superman's kidney before rolling with his own punch and delivering a backwards heel kick into his face. The two separated for a moment. Finally, taking a second to realize who stood before him, Naruto quickly placed the weapons back into the pouch on his belt. Holding his hands up in surrender, he spoke, "Sorry about that. I got caught up in the moment." Superman. Seeing the man was not about to make any sudden movements, Superman nodded. "Supergirl, check on the hostages." "Sure thing," she said, casting a glance at the man in white. He seemed familiar, but she couldn't place it. "Hey, is everyone okay?" she politely asked, checking to see if anyone was wounded. Getting nods from everyone, she walked them out after casting one last glance at the man in white. "Superman," Toyman shouted at the man, "why didn't you come out to play earlier? I had a wonderful gift for you in my planes." He then gestured to Naruto. "Well, it was wonderful until this miscreant ruined everything." Superman picked Toyman up. "I am sure I would have hated it." Walking toward the stairs, Superman passed Naruto and gave him a look. "Follow me." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Well, because you demanded so nicely, sure, why not?" Superman was not amused with his cheek. When they left the factory, Superman turned Toyman over to the police before grabbing Naruto by his coat and flying off. Supergirl, seeing them leave, followed. Dropping him on the building, Superman began the discussion or interrogation depending on who you ask. "Who are you? A new up-and-coming hero?" "Listen, Pale, we don't kill people. We bring them to justice with the police. We aren't gods. We don't get to decide who lives and dies. Some people just got dealt a bad hand and need some help." Naruto just stood there with both eyebrows raised at the lecture being given by the Man of Steel. If you were trying to get League attention, this was deaf. Superman was cut off by the sound of snoring coming from the man and couldn't find the words to continue from this man's blatant disrespect. Noticing Superman had stopped his lecture, Naruto spoke up. "First of all, I am not a new hero," Naruto spoke coldly. "This was a one-time deal. I happened to be in the area and didn't wish to wait for you to come smashing through a hostage situation. Second of all, I don't want your attention or anyone else's for that matter." Caught off guard, Superman asked one final question. "What do you want?" "To be left alone," Naruto said while turning to walk away. Superman wasn't satisfied. "You almost killed him, you know. No matter what or the reason, killing is wrong." Naruto turned to face him, and instead of ice-cold blue eyes, he was met with slitted red eyes. "You can believe what you want, I know better. Leaving survivors leads to more problems. Problems that cost you people you care about." Naruto spoke through barely controlled rage. His eyes softened as he was turning around and caught sight of Supergirl. "Kara. I can't believe I didn't notice. I guess I just chalked it up to looking similar when I saw Supergirl's pictures online. But her chakra signature has always been a bit weird and matches Supergirl's perfectly." Naruto sighed before shining away, leaving only leaves blowing in the wind. "Who was that guy, Clark?" Kara asked, actually frightened by his tone and his eyes. "I don't know, Kara, I don't know," Clark said, but he was lying. Clark knew exactly who it was. He was used to villains who tried to muffle their voices. And after using his X-ray vision, he knew without a shadow of a doubt that the man who just disappeared was Naruto Uzumaki. The boy his cousin had a crush on if his guess was right. "Come on Kara, let's get back to Jimmy and Lois," Clark said taking to the sky. "Hey," Kara said catching up to him, "don't forget about Naruto." Clark didn't respond. He couldn't, he was lying to her and it didn't sit well with him. Naruto arrived back in the factory after his shunshin and drew out the scroll from earlier. Biting his thumb once more and completing the seals, he was engulfed in a cloud of smoke. Placing the scroll in his pocket, he moved to grab his pack from the floor before walking out. Seeing Lois and Jimmy talking with the police, he headed for them. "Hey guys, what happened?" Both turned to him. "What do you mean what happened? You probably had a front row seat to it all," Lois shot back with a grin. "Naruto was rubbing the back of his neck the whole time. Nah, some dude snuck up behind me and knocked me out. I just woke up." Lois nodded, buying the story, for now anyway. "Must have been that new hero that was with Superman," Jimmy added his 2 cents in, while Kara and Clark walked up. "What new superhero?" Kara asked, playing dumb. "Where the hell have you two been?" Lois asked angrily. "Sorry, we got pulled away by the crowd," Clark apologized. "You guys okay?" He specifically watched Naruto's reaction. "Yeah, we are fine, Smallville, we'll expect for this moron," Lois said, gesturing to Naruto. "What happened?" Kara asked, going closer to her friend. He had finally stopped fake rubbing his neck. "I went back in to try to help those people of the top floor. Some dude snuck up behind me and knocked me out." Kara was surprised that he would try and help them, but smiled at his bravery. "Sorry your weekend here has to suck," she apologized, knowing he was really looking forward to the free ramen. "Yeah," Naruto glanced back at the factory, "all that free ramen I'm gonna miss out on." Frowning, Naruto shrugged his shoulders before offering his arm to Kara. "However, I am sure we can find a small Asian place nearby. Care to join?" Kara nodded, taking his arm, intending to walk off. That was until Clark placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. "Have her back to my apartment by 10 please." Turning to face him, Naruto saw the glare he was sending his way. Not one to back down, he released a tad bit of killing intent and changed his eyes to Kurama's before replying, "That would be no problem at all." With the glare match done, the two left the Daily Planet employees in search of ramen. Clark left Lois at the Daily Planet, making a beeline for his apartment. Arriving in, he quickly closed his door before grabbing his league communicator. Quickly changing out of his clothes and once more into his uniform. "John, one for transport," Superman spoke with fury in his voice. "One for transport," John said before Superman was engulfed in blue light. Appearing in the watchtower, Superman floated up to the overlook with John. "Where is Batman?" Surprised at the anger in his voice, John responded, "Currently in Gotham." "Is he on a case?" Superman asked while walking over to the communications screen. "Not that I am aware of," John replied, still confused as to what was bothering the Man of Steel. Superman nodded before pulling up the link to the Batcave. "What is it?" Bruce asked in his normal grainy voice. "Naruto Uzumaki," Clark spoke to his friend, "I need you to find out everything you can on him. As soon as possible." Raising an eyebrow at him, "How soon do you need it?" "Before 10 tonight," Superman said. "Very well." Batman cut the video link, leaving Superman to his own devices. "John, I need to make a phone call," Superman said while walking into the private conference room for the original 7. "Diana, John, Wally," John spoke to them through their communicators, "you are needed back at the watchtower ASAP. Something has Superman bothered." The three didn't have to be told twice. If something had the big man bothered, it was something big. Naruto and Kara wound up finding a place nearby that served the noodles he was craving. After taking a seat, Naruto ordered 2 bowls instead of his usually 30. "What gives?" Kara asked, confused by his seemingly lost appetite. "I didn't want to embarrass you like you asked," he informed her with a smile. Giggling at his care for her image. "Finally, so you gonna stay the whole weekend or head back early?" "I'm probably gonna leave tonight on the bus," Naruto replied, trying to keep his tone even but failing slightly. Kara could tell he wasn't as excited as normal. His tone was off and his eyes seemed duller. "Hey, I know tournament can be scary, trust me, but nobody got hurt. You could stay a while longer." Kara was hoping he'd agree. She wasn't due back to Smallville till Sunday, and truth be told, she was missing her friend. Naruto was definitely not in a good mood, but was trying for her. For as long as he could anyway. The confrontation with Toyman set him off in a way he didn't expect. The familiar chakra signature to Sacier was what sent me down that path. Flashes of his friend Gaara's death at the hands of Akatsuki and his rage. "Nah, Kara," Naruto responded, "you're here to spend time with your cousin. I don't want to cut into that, family is too important." Kara lost part of her smile but nodded. "Truth be told, once your cousin spills the beans, I doubt you'd be friends with me anyway," Naruto thought and ate at the pace of a normal person when the food arrived. Flashes of Sasuke appearing in his mind, Naruto struggled to quell the tremors in his hands as best he could. Kara noticed them and thought he was just shaken up for the incident at the factory. Reaching over the table and giving his resting hand a slight squeeze, she smiled at him when he looked up. Smiling back, but with one that didn't quite reach his eyes, the two dug in again. Neither letting go of the other's hand. In the watchtower, 5 of the original 7 sat at the conference table while Batman was on the screen. The subject of their discussion was the blonde-haired male currently on what one would consider a date. "Bruce, what were you able to find?" Clark asked the Dark Knight. Naruto Uzumaki, born October 10, current age 19, Batman said, here on a permanent travel visa. Essentially he is a legal non-resident. He has quite the bank account from trading in authentic gold Ryu coins, numbering in a couple 100,000. What else? Superman asked, surprised that was all Bruce had to say. That's it. Those 2 words shocked the original League members. What do you mean that's it? Flash asked first. You're the Dark Knight, the great detective. And that's all you could find. A Google search would have given us that. Bully soon found himself under the dreaded bat glare. I ran his ID picture through Interpol, CIA, NSA, FBI, Japan's SDF, Russia's KGB, and China's SHISH. Nobody has ever seen this man until 2.5 months ago when he showed up in Smallville, Kansas. How is that possible? Diana asked, surprised that someone from man's world had no records whatsoever. He could be an alien, John threw out. No, not with the way he left, it almost felt magical. That's what worries me, Clark said. They all knew that both he and Kara were only weak against kryptonite and magic. So what do we do? John asked. He didn't like anomalies, especially ones targeting his friends. And this ghost man was shaping up to be a big one, cause I say we go down there and make him tell us. Diana shook her head, adding her 2 cents, we aren't an army, John. Besides, aside from creating an identity for himself, he hasn't broken any laws. Superman didn't like it regardless. Why did he attack Toyman then? He asked. Also, that blurb about leaving survivors leads to problems. The way he carried himself, the way he attacked Toyman, if I hadn't intervened he would have killed Toyman. Something's not right. This guy is a wild card, Batman spoke up from the video link. All turning to give him their attention. It is possible he was at one point a government weapon or part of some Black Ops program. None of the League liked hearing this, it led them to one conclusion, he might have been a child soldier. Clark, Bruce spoke again, find out if he's staying in Metropolis through the rest of the weekend. If he is, we will stage my plan there, if not, his home in Smallville will work. Superman nodded and Batman cut the link. Well, I guess I have to go back and be happy, cousin, he spoke, sounding depressed that nothing was being done about it right now. Hey big guy, I know you're worried about her, but she can take care of herself, Wally said as they were leaving. She sure as hell can, Stewart chimed in, remembering the recent mission he went on with her. Superman thanked his friends before heading to the teleporter. John sent him off first. Naruto and Kara had finished their late lunch and gone on a tour of the city. They visited the park, a couple of arcades, and a few of Kara's favorite clothing stores. They chatted some here and there, but Naruto couldn't get into it. His eyes never got back to being as bright as she wanted them, even when she wouldn't let go of his hand after they left the restaurant. Naruto and Kara finally arrived from their tour at Clark's apartment. Are you sure you won't stay till Sunday? She asked, hoping for more time with her friend. Positive, he responded. Kara nodded and turned for the door before she felt herself pulled into a hug by Naruto. Thanks for being a good friend, Kara. Shocked, it took her a second before she responded to the hug with one of her own, and the two parted ways. Kara unlocked the door and headed in. Seeing Clark still wasn't home, she headed for the phone to call Barbara. Seeing that it was only 9:30, she figured she had 30 minutes to talk with her friend before Clark came back, giving her the third degree about her new friend. Dialing her number, she waited on the other end of the line, looking in the fridge for something to eat. Why didn't you tell me that your boyfriend was a cape? Barbara said as she answered the phone. What are you talking about? And seriously, why would you answer the phone that way? Kara asked. Barbara responded in kind. Caller ID girl, I knew it was you, and you don't know. Don't know what? Kara was getting very agitated with Barbara's word games. Girl, Batman grilled me for like an hour on what I knew about Naruto. Said he might be a threat, that he was the white-coated guy that took on Toyman earlier today. Kara dropped the milk she had just pulled out of the fridge. That's ludicrous. Naruto isn't a superhero. Barbara didn't agree. Look Kara, all 6 of remaining original League members are up in arms about this. They are planning something, and Clark confirmed without a shadow of a doubt that Naruto was the guy in the white coat. Kara couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her friend, her best friend aside from Barbara, was the guy who beat Toyman in just a few minutes, took her cousin on for a short scuffle, and scared the crap out of her. Barbara, I have to go. Kara hung up the phone, not waiting for a response. Placing the dropped milk back in the fridge, Kara sank to the floor stunned. That was until blue light filtered into her view, then she got angry. Ah Kara, I am glad you're back. How did spending time with your friend go? Her eyes narrowed dangerously. Cut the bullshit, Kal-El. What is this I just heard about a League move against my friend? Clark knew the jig was up and he was glad. He was tired of lying to her even if it was for a few hours. Kara, he's dangerous, Superman replied. You were there on the roof. He says he doesn't leave survivors. Which means he's killed people before. We have to assess the danger he could pose to the world. Superman thought his logic would get through to her, but it only angered her further. What danger? He's been living in Smallville for 2.5 months with nothing happening. He's not a danger to anyone. Sighing, Clark tried to reason with her again. Look, if that's true then nothing will happen, we just want to ask him questions. And what, spill our identities to him, so all of our enemies can go after him, Kara argued back. He already knows who we are, he informed her. What? Kara asked, shocked. How did he find out? Clark nodded. Back when I stopped him to say when to have you back by, I glared at him and he responded by changing his eyes to the red ones with a slit. Kara sank to her knees, unsure of what to do. I need to know if he is staying in Metropolis till Sunday, Superman asked, but it was more of a demand than a question. Kara shook her head. No, he caught the bus back to Smallville after he dropped me off. After getting the answer he wanted, Clark placed his hand to his earpiece. John, inform the others he's headed back tonight. If Batman thinks his plan will work, I think we should act on it tonight as well. We have a few hours to prep everything. Will do, Superman, the Manhunter spoke back to him. I am coming too, Kara said from the floor. No. Absolutely not, he shouted back at her. And why not? He's my friend. Sighing, Clark calmed down before he spoke again. That's why you can't. Your friendship with him would cloud your judgment on the situation. I'd like to try and see you stop me, she spoke, getting up from the floor, glaring with everything she had at her cousin. Very well, he finally resigned to bringing her. She left to put on her uniform and grab her communicator. Superman, John spoke over the link. Batman said we can move tonight, I'll beam you up. Due for pickup, John. Kara's coming as well, not bothering to argue. John complied and beamed the last 2 Kryptonians aboard the watchtower. Superman and Supergirl were the last to arrive and Batman was not happy seeing her. What is she doing here? Kara glared at him. I am coming along. Naruto is my friend. No, you are not, Bruce spoke with a tone of finality. Wanna try and stop me? Kara asked, taunting him on. Enough, both of you, Clark said. She is coming and that's final. Batman scowled but refrained from saying anything. What's the plan? Clark asked, and Batman walked to the front of the Outlook, bringing up a satellite image of Naruto's home. We will teleport to the Kent farm, from there all of you will take up points. I want Green Lantern and Flash together here, Batman said, pointing to an area a few miles out being Naruto's crop fields. I want Supergirl, John and Diana flying above the area. John and Supergirl, you need to be flying low enough to use your powers, but high enough to not be seen. Finally, Superman, you will be on the other side of his field here, Batman said, once again pointing to an area behind the field. That is just close enough for me to hear him. But what will you be doing? Batman looked back toward Clark. I will be the one talking with him. Why you? Kara asked with a piercing glare. Because I am better than all of you at interrogation, Batman explained, not bothering to sugarcoat it, and I will be able to signal you in if I don't like what here or if John doesn't read that he is truthful. Kara left he glare up but didn't bother responding. The 7 of them headed for the teleporter. Mr. Terrific, John said once they reached the teleporter, please send us down. Nodding, he pushed the button and the 7 left. After getting everybody squared away, Batman approached the property. The other reason he selected himself was his ability to sneak in and out of an area undetected. He would be able to get the drop on him and hopefully avoid a confrontation. As he neared the rear of the property, he saw that the back porch light was on. Getting a better look with his enhanced cowl, he saw that Naruto had already made it back. I will have to take a different approach to this. He is already back at his place, Batman spoke over the comm link to the others. He continued with a cautious approach until Naruto was within normal sight range, and that's when he heard it. You might as well come out, I know you're there, Naruto said while turning to Batman's location. Had he been anyone else he would have missed the stealthy hero, but the second the hero crossed into his sensor array, it was over. Batman stood and calmly walked toward the young man. He noticed him sitting in a rocking chair drinking from a clay bottle of sake. Want some? Naruto offered while pouring a sasua for the Dark Knight. Grabbing the offered drink, he knocked it back and found it to be some of the best sake he has ever had, very smooth. Where is that from? Batman asked curiously. Hanzaku Gai, no, for their sake in casinos, Naruto spoke softly, remembering his first time meeting Tsunade. Never heard of it, Batman spoke, eyes narrowing on the blonde. Wouldn't expect you to, it's not from this earth. Batman raised an eyebrow at that. I take it you're gonna talk then, no lies. Naruto nodded, still looking forward, even though Batman had moved to the side of the porch to rest against the railing. So talk, Batman demanded. Naruto sighed, taking another swing from the bottle. You are here to find out if I am a threat, aren't you? Bruce nodded. As you have guessed already, I am from another dimension, Naruto said. It was one possibility I had thought of. However, it was confirmed by you mentioning a town that doesn't exist, the Dark Knight responded. Naruto nodded, continuing, in my old world, there was no such thing as black and white. Good and evil. There was only gray. Soldiers, trained from a young age to become assassins, thieves, torturers, and killers. But we were also taught to protect one another, to give our lives in the service to our village and protecting the residents within. Naruto took another swing before continuing, our last war was short and simple. Compared to the other three that took place anyway. A group known as Akatsuki wanted to destroy the world and reshape it in its image. To do this they planned to unleash a great beast upon the world. The Tsuki no Juubi Urufu, the 10-tailed wolf of the moon in your language. Their leader was able to control it through the use of clan's blood limit. A special ability known only to that clan, Batman asked. Naruto nodded, yes. All 5 of the great nations where I am from met. They decided to make a truce and we fought against this organization. But they had 2 aces up their sleeves we weren't prepared for. One of them could raise the dead. Naruto took another swing before speaking again, but it wasn't like your zombies here, mindless and dumb. Easy to kill. They were complete, able to use all their abilities, and you couldn't kill them. You could turn the bodies to dust and they would just reform. They would retail all of their knowledge, but serve the creator. Family members, lovers long dead, lost teammates all forced to fight the people they once cared for more than anything. How did you fight against that? Batman asked, disgusted by that ability. To revive someone in that way is truly monstrous. We came up with seals that would contain the soul before sending it back to the spirit world. Many died in trying to seal some of the legendary warriors. The second ace was one of them could replicate himself as many times as he wanted and could transform into almost complete versions of us. They attacked the medical tents, trying to take down as many of the wounded from the zombie army as they could. They showed no mercy, but then again none of us ever did, even before the war. Naruto seemed to get lost in thought for a moment before speaking again, we managed to fight them back and take on the Juubi. But the cost was too great. While we were fighting back the one-man army and trying to figure out who was friend or foe, the Juubi wreaked untold havoc on the nations. It was able to wipe out whole villages from miles away, thousands died even before we engaged it. Through help I was finally able to beat it, but the cost, Naruto paused thinking back to all his friends, his senseis, his life, the cost was too great. There was no one left, just a barren field of dead and decaying bodies. Downing a huge swing, Naruto continued the story, the other heroes completely enthralled. Had Batman even tried to signal them in, they wouldn't have moved. So following the advice of an old friend, abandon your fear. Look forward. Move forward and never stop. You'll age if you pull back. You'll die if you hesitate. I came here to find the peace we all fought so hard for, that I will be the only one to enjoy. Batman processed what he had been told, which while seemed like a lot, was actually very little. He didn't name any names, he didn't tell them about the others in this Akatsuki group. Nor how they managed to kill the Juubi, or how he managed to survive. But, he knew the whole story was the truth. The blonde's eyes said it all. It was 2.5 months since he left a war and he was still scarred by it. And while Batman felt sympathy for the young man that was turned into a soldier, he still needed to know if he was a threat. You said you were trained from a young age. How long have you been Bruce trailed off, not knowing what he was. Shinobi, Naruto answered for him. I started training shortly after I was 5. The one student of my father took me in, raised me when he could, and force drafted me to get me off the streets. Batman was shocked by this, why did he force draft you? Sighing, Naruto explained a little about his past, both my parents died the day I was born. I won't go into details about it, but my life wasn't easy, it left a lasting impression on me. Nodding, Batman felt like wrapping this up, he was already disgusted enough with the man's old world. He felt calling him a boy after everything he'd been through was pointless. Do you pose a threat to the world or the Justice League? Naruto laughed out a slightly drunken laugh, after hearing how hard I fought for a dead world, what do you think? Batman didn't bother responding to his question and instead asked another one, how come you haven't approached us about joining the league then? Naruto downed the last of the bottle before standing up, do you really want an assassin in your merry band of men in tight tights? Not bothering to wait for a response, Naruto walked into his home. Feeling that the conversation was over for the night, Batman walked off the porch and into the field. Mr. Terrific, pick us up. Chapter 4. Welcome to the club. We don't have jackets or rings. The 7 League members appeared in the watchtower shortly after Batman's request. Stay here, Bruce said while looking at Kara, we need to have a chat. Alone. The remaining 6 original members left for their conference room, while Kara sighed and headed for her room on the watchtower. Her mind was still reeling from what she had heard tonight. It's not fair that he had to put up with all of that, she thought while walking the short distance to her room. No wonder he seemed downtrodden the whole day after Toyman, he must have been expecting them to question him. Or having flashbacks to his home, opening her door and heading to her window, she looked down at the planet that she called home, Naruto. Back in the conference room tensions were tight. "He's so young," Diana finally said, breaking everyone from their thoughts. "It is quite tragic that B has had to live through so much." John nodded, agreeing with her. "I agree, but we must focus on what is important to the Justice League and the world's safety." "John's right," Clark said next. "We can't let someone with that kind of power run wild with it." Batman narrowed his eye dangerously at Superman. "Then what do you suggest, Justice Lord Kal-El?" That coming from Batman surprised the other members. That was a low blow. Bruce. "What Superman said is true, the kid has a lot of power and just left a war. What's to stop him from going crazy?" John asked, trying to defend Superman's side. "Because we do not know the full extent of what he can do," Batman said. "All we know is he's been fighting for a long time, survived a war that decimated his world, and killed a beast that could destroy places from miles away. We know nothing." "Well, I know enough to say we should let him join," Flash spoke up. The others turned to look at him, Wonder Woman with a nod, Superman and Green Lantern with looks of shock, John was thoughtful on it, and Batman gave no indication one way or another. "Are you out of your mind, Wally?" John asked, stunned that he would even suggest letting him join the League. "What? No," he said before explaining his reasoning. "Look, we've all done something bad in the past. Superman, you got brainwashed and attacked the Earth. GL, you thought you destroyed that planet. Wonder Woman, there was that whole deal with Erisia. John, not sure what you might have done, but we don't know all your past. And well, look at Batman's track record. He interrogates guys by dangling them off rooftops by their feet, threatening to drop them." Wally sighed before continuing. "I'm not saying trust him for everything, trust is earned not given, but I am sure he could help. Maybe we could actually help him too, give him something worth fighting for. I think he would be a great asset. Plus he seems nice." Wally finished his speech, and the members thought on their own in silence for a moment. Diana was the first to speak up. "A vote on if we should invite Naruto to join the Justice League. I vote yes." Diana nodded over to Superman. "I vote no. He's too much of a risk. We should monitor him constantly." J. Bone seconded Superman. "I agree, he's a loose cannon. One that could go off at any second. I vote no." Wally crossed his arms and stuck his tongue out at Green Lantern. "Well, I vote yes, GL. So that's 2 and 2. The 4 voted members turned their eyes onto the remaining 2. John sighed before casting his vote. "I will have to agree with Wally and Diana on this one. We could use him and might be able to help him. Even curve his killing side." Superman and Green Lantern were a little shocked but understood where John was coming from. He was an outsider just like Naruto, nothing left of their respective worlds, just like Superman as well. But Superman refused to sympathize with him, mainly for his willingness to kill. Batman stood up and started walking to the exit. "Bruce, you have to cast your vote. We need to know if it is a tie and do nothing or if he should join," Diana said, stopping the Dark Knight for a moment. "I don't have to do anything," his grainy voice said, annoyed. "Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer." He left through the door right after his response. "What the hell does that mean?" Wally asked, exasperated with the Dark Knight and his varying degree of grumpiness. Superman sighed, knowing full well what it meant. "It means we invite Naruto to join the Justice League." Kara couldn't really do much to take her mind off everything she learned. Her best friend had been a soldier since he was 5, and who knows what he's seen and done in that time. Her heart wept for the young man she had grown close to. "Why do I feel like this?" she asked herself. She knew she cared for her teammates, like Green Arrow, who was like an older brother to her. As well as people like Captain Atom and Green Lantern, both were well-polished heroes who went out of their way to help her in training. But she felt something different with Naruto. It was even stronger than what she felt with Barbara, and Barbara was her best friend. She had made it a priority to help her out in Gotham when Batman was away helping the League. "I wish this was easier," Kara thought before hearing her door open. Spinning around, she turned to see it was Green Arrow. "Hey kid," he said before realizing she was crying. "What the hell happened to make you cry?" he asked, moving further into the room, letting the door shut behind him. Wiping at her eyes, Kara was surprised to find tears. "Sorry Oli, I didn't even realize I was crying." Grabbing some tissues from desk, he handed them over. "So, you gonna tell me what's going on?" Kara was wiping her eyes, not sure of what to say. "I don't really know where to start, to be honest." "The beginning is normally a good place to start," Oli said, putting a hand on her shoulder. Kara smiled at him before taking a seat on her bed, explaining everything from the beginning. It took a while, and the whole time Oliver Queen had one thought on his mind: man, does she have it bad for this guy. After hearing everything, including what she synopsis from the talk the kid had with Batman, Oliver had a pretty good idea of what was really bothering her. "Well, I can safely say 2 things, Green Arrow said while smiling, trying to cheer her up. "First is, don't worry about what the League is gonna do." Kara raised an eyebrow while he continued, "We bring the bad guys to justice. He ain't a bad guy, he was a soldier fighting for his country and from the sounds of it his world near the end. Kara placed her under her chin and thought, he's right. We don't interfere during wars unless they have been instigated by one of our rouges. It's part of the Justice League Charter with the UN. Nodding, Kara continued, well, what about the second thing? Oliver laughed before ruffling her hair a little, you're not worried about your best friend. You're worried about your boyfriend. Leaving a sputtering Kara in his wake, Oliver walked down the hall and to where he went while on the tower, most likely to ogle Black Canary, she thought with a smirk. Shortly after Green Arrow left, Kara heard her door open again. Turning to see who was standing there, she saw her cousin. Kara, he spoke calmly, we have voted on what to do with Naruto. Holding out his hand, she saw that there was a Justice League communicator in it. Kara's eyes light up like a kid's on Christmas. Really? Yes, Clark replied, really. But. He stopped her before she flew down the hall to the teleporter. He isn't allowed to go on any missions alone, he isn't allowed within the vault, and if he kills someone, he will face the charges. Whatever they may be. Alone. No league support. Kara nodded before flying with super speed through the watchtower to the teleporter. Hey John, send me down. Kara shouted up to the Martian, who nodded, already knowing where she wanted to go. A blue flash of light later, Kara was gone from the watchtower. As her vision cleared up, she saw that John had managed to place her just behind Naruto's house. Noticing it was morning, she was a little surprised that she wasn't more tired. Quickly walking up the steps, Kara banged rather loudly on Naruto's back door. Naruto. She shouted, hoping he wasn't in town, come outside, I need to talk with you. She waited a few minutes and still nothing. Maybe he's in town. She thought while knocking again, I wish he had a car, it would make it so much easier to know if he's home or not. Naruto, I need to talk with you. She shouted once more at the door. Pausing, she waited again, growing frustrated with her fellow blonde. Pulling her fist back to punch the door down, Kara let it fly. Naruto was having a shitty night. After his horrible day in Metropolis, accidentally fighting Superman and almost killing that annoying piece of shit Toyman. He managed to get home and was well on his way to getting drunk. And of course his plan on getting drunk was ruined by Batman coming to question him. Figuring it would be pointless to lie due to his slip-up with Clark earlier that day. Naruto felt if he divulged just enough they'd either leave him alone or ask him to join. Naruto in his drunken stupor had hoped for the first. With Batman gone, he proceeded to drink enough sake to knock out Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Anko simultaneously. It was just convenient that his sake storage happened to be in his safe room, which he'd sealed up after speaking with Batman. While he did that, Kurama was woken up from his rest by his host's body, calling on his chakra to avoid alcohol poisoning. Surprising, the whelp wants to get shit-faced after free ramen. But after seeing the fresh memories of the war on the kid's surface thoughts, Kurama decided to filter through the day's memories and find out what happened. Oh shit. Kurama thought, looking on at the woman standing next to Superman. Then he heard what Naruto said to the man. Sighing, Kurama sent out a wave of chakra, this night is not going to be good. Filtering through the rest of the memories, he saw him explaining to Batman. Good, at least he's being vague enough to not include me in this conversation, Kurama very glad for that. Sighing, Kurama resigned himself to healing the boy's liver as it processed more alcohol than what should ever be placed into the human body. New record, 15 bottles of sake before touchdown. Kurama spoke. Naruto slept dreamlessly, something he was thankful for. What he wasn't thankful for was the pounding resounding throughout the house. As well as his perimeter seals beeping loudly in his safe room. Ugh, what the hell is that? Naruto shouted while grabbing his head in pain. The beeping would be your perimeter seals going off, Kurama spoke up from within, and the pounding would be that freakishly strong woman you have a crush on. Can't she knock quieter? Naruto asked out loud, head pounding too loudly to bother with trying to mentally communicate with his tenant. At one point she was, since then she has increased the force used. Sighing, Naruto staggered up the stairs to the doorway. Forming a seal with his right hand, he pressed it against the door before opening it and stumbling into his kitchen table. Hearing the pounding stop, thank Kami. Naruto slowly moved to the door and opened it, ready to greet Kara and hopefully retain her friendship. What he wasn't expecting was a fist to come barreling down at his face. Too hungover and shocked to move, Naruto was treated to a super-powered punch right in the face, sending him flying back the way he came. All the way back down into his basement. Kara noticed too late that the door was opening on its own and found her fist landing smack dab in the center of Naruto's face. She could feel his nose break as his head shot back and watched in horror as he flew backwards across his kitchen. Eventually going through the door leading to the storm shelter in the bottom of the house. Naruto. Kara flew down after him, great job Kara, punch the guy you like in the face and break his nose. You are definitely gonna earn points with him that way. She mentally berated herself. Finding him against the back wall with blood trickling down his nose and swirls in his eyes. She also noticed black drawings all over the storm shelter. What are those, she thought, drawing close to the ones directly behind him. Right before her hands could touch them, a second set of hands shot up from beneath her and grabbed her wrists. I wouldn't touch those, he said, his voice giving off a Hosley tone from his broken nose. Kara looked down and saw Naruto had stopped her from touching the wall, and before he could move enveloped him in a hug. I am so sorry, I just punched you in the face. So, Naruto said, still incredibly hungover, this doesn't mean the Justice League is coming to take me away. Kara sighed, placing Naruto down. They gave me this, she spoke, pulling a communicator out of what Naruto assumed was the smallest pocket in the world to be included on that skirt. They said they voted to invite you to join the league, but, Kara said, trailing off. But if I don't take it, I could have the whole league raining down on me. Kara nodded, that was the vibe I got off my cousin after he told me. Raising an eyebrow at her, she got the signal and continued, he said there would be a few rules. The first, you are not allowed to go on a mission alone, the second, you aren't allowed near the vault, and third, if you kill someone you will face whatever charges are brought up against you. Naruto nodded before popping his nose back into place with a sickening crunch, basically if I feel like I should kill the bad guy, the league will drop all connection with me. Possibly even help bring me in. Kara nodded and Naruto sighed, well, it isn't a perfect option, but I'd rather join than be an enemy. Naruto said, taking the communicator and heading up the stairs. Kara following him, saddened by the fact that Naruto still thought he might have to kill. Does that mean you are still planning on killing? Reaching the kitchen, Naruto opened the fridge, pulling out an egg. Setting it on the counter before opening his cabinets, do I plan on it? No, hell, I didn't plan on joining the league. I came here for peace. Grabbing Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, salt, and ground black pepper. Setting them down on the counter, Naruto continued, however, there may come a time when I have no choice. Not everyone can be saved, not everyone deserves to be saved. Naruto got lost in his thoughts before beginning to make the prairie oyster. Kara watched him crack the egg, dropping the yolk into the glass, unbroken, before adding the other ingredients. Why are you making that? Naruto said nothing, finished making the drink, he knocked it back. Hungover, he replied, placing the glass into the sink. Turning to face her, he rested his back against the counter. You guys go up against some people in the past I would have killed the first meeting. Naruto sighed, looking out his window for a moment before turning back to her. I once gave 2 people a second chance, Kara-chan. The first used it wisely. The second one tried to kill me. He was my teammate, someone I thought of as a friend, maybe even brother in grief. The 2 of us had lost so much before we were ever supposed to. His name was Sasuke-chan. Kara began to give him her full undivided attention. He didn't tell Batman this last night. He was assigned to my squad after the academy. My sensei tested him and the other assigned to us. It was a hard test, but they passed, doesn't mean the road was any less hard. Especially for him. His brother had killed his whole family and spared him. Kara's eyes shot open at that, she couldn't imagine anyone killing their whole family. He said he spared him because he was weak, not even worth killing. It made him cold inside, only wanting strength. Kakashi-sensei and I thought we were helping him deal with the pain. Get over it. But all he saw was the training I had gotten, and not him. He saw that I had been a genin, starting shinobi, for 3 years before him. And no matter how much we tried, his hate was brewing inside, becoming toxic. He never let it go, and eventually turned traitor to the village and ran. Naruto closed his eyes, recalling Sasuke's reasoning behind it all. He was heading for someone that promised him power. An older traitor to the village. Myself and a few others were dispatched to bring him back. What happened? Kara asked, not that I mind you telling me more about your life, Naruto, I have a feeling you wouldn't be explaining your reluctance to giving second chances unless something major happened. Naruto nodded, we caught up to him and the people escorting him. The 2 of us fought. I had a chance to kill him and I hesitated due to my, I guess you could call it, friendship with him. He however was not held back by such feeling and stuck his hand through my chest. Blah. Kara was stunned, his friend, someone he considered a brother, tried to kill him. How did he manage that, she asked, truthfully scared to know. The jutsu, what we shinobi call attacks. It covered the hand in lightning, you run forward at breakneck speeds, plowing it into whatever you are attacking. Kara rose up from her seat, pulling Naruto into another hug, he, nor anyone else will ever hurt you like that again. She whispered into his ear. Naruto smiled back before returning the hug. After a few seconds they released and Naruto started to question her. So I take it you heard from Batman about me, Naruto asked. However, Kara glanced out the window ashamed, but felt that coming clean would be better. Actually, Batman had the original 6 and myself all take staging points up outside your place last night. I heard it directly from you. Naruto felt ashamed, she heard it all, it wasn't much, but it was enough. Kurama snorted, drawing the blonde's attention, if she hated you, do you think she would be the one delivering your communicator? For that matter, hugging you? Sending a mental smile and thanks to Kurama, Naruto nodded to Kara. "I don't hate you, and I am not afraid of you," she said, running her hand along his cheek. Naruto blushed, never before had a girl he had a crush on be this intimate with him. "You were a soldier doing what you felt was right." Leaning in, she kissed his cheek, which sent Naruto's blush level skyrocketing, almost to Hinata levels. Smiling back at her, "Thanks, Kara-chan." She nodded, dropping her hand and stepping back. "Well, it's time to head up there for the tour and for them to make the profile on you." Naruto blinked owlishly. "Head up where?" Kara just looked at him like he was crazy. "You know, the watchtower. The Justice League's base orbiting above the earth." Naruto looked up at his ceiling before looking back at Kara. He did this a few times before stopping to look at her. "How do we get up there?" Kara facepalmed, "Via teleporter or javelin." Nodding, Naruto started walking from the kitchen. "Guess that means I should shower and switch into my shinobi uniform," he said. Kara followed. "Yeah, that might be a good idea, you kinda smell like alco." Kara stopped dead in her tracks. There before her in almost all his glory stood Naruto. "What the hell are you doing?" Kara yelled at him at the top of her lungs. Naruto was pretty sure that the people a state over could have heard her. However, Naruto turned around confused. "I am undressing so I can shower." "In your living room," Kara once more yelled as loud as possible. Naruto nodded, still confused as to the problem. "Yeah. Why not? It is highly inappropriate for you to do that while you have a guest in your house. Specifically a girl," Kara finished with an atomic blush. "Since when?" Naruto asked, hands on his hips, still standing in just his boxers. "Damn it. Why? Why does he have to look so hot like that?" "Since forever," Kara's voice coming down further, still blushing like mad though. "But I've undressed and even bathed with female teammates as well as clients I was assigned to protect on missions." Kara's mind stopped working right that instant. "Say what?" Naruto nodded. "Yeah, on protection detail mission we had to bath with our clients. Make sure no one tried to kill them in the bathhouses. Most diplomats, businessmen and women, actors and actresses, and daimyos like to bathe in the bathhouses, so we had to go with them." He said it just like someone talked about the weather. "So you're not a virgin?" Kara asked, feeling slightly down. "Why the hell did I just ask that? He's totally gonna think I am some kind of freaky girl." Naruto shook his head in the negative. "Nah, I am a virgin. Truthfully, a super pervert in honor of my sensei and godfather. But I haven't found a woman that would want to be with me." "We'll see about that, but wait, what is a super pervert?" "Okay, just wondering," Kara said before asking, "What is a super pervert?" Naruto smirked before pulling an orange book off one of the shelves. "Find out," he said, tossing it away before stripping off his boxers in plain view of Kara and heading the rest of the way to the bathroom. He totally did that last part on purpose, Kara thought, trying to stop a nosebleed. Looking over the cover, she heard the water turn on and figured why not. No idea how long he's gonna be. Might as well. Now Naruto knew Kara couldn't read Japanese, but he had been spending time lately translating all of his godfather's work into English for possible licensing and selling. "You did that on purpose," Kurama said to Naruto once he had reached the bathroom. "It was glorious, it was evil, it was perfect." The demon lord practically sang in Naruto's mind. "It wasn't that evil," Naruto defended himself, stepping into the shower, not bothering to wait for the water to heat up. He was used to cold showers anyway. "You called yourself a super pervert, told her to find out for herself what one was. Threw her a copy of your godfather's smut, took off your boxers, leaving yourself as naked as the day you were born. Then left her to read said smut." The word evil comes to mind. Naruto had to stop washing his hair and think about that for a second. "Now that you mention it, that does sound kinda evil." Shrugged his shoulders, Naruto continued washing his hair and body. Kurama realized that his host did all of that without actually thinking it through. "These are the moments I question if your brain actually works. Or if it is just a mushy, useless organ." Naruto finished his shower. Toweling off, he left the bathroom with one wrapped around his waist, the other still being used to dry his wet hair. Walking out, he saw Kara sitting on his couch, still reading the book, blushing like mad and biting her lower lip. Holy Kami and Nervian. That is the hottest image I have ever seen. Naruto thought, notebook, where's my notebook? Must find notebook. Quickly looking around for his notebook, Naruto slowly moved across the living room with all the stealth training at his disposal as to not draw attention from Kara. Reaching his desk and grabbing his notebook, Naruto started to scribble in it. Just like his godfather before him, Naruto couldn't help but let out perverted giggles while he was writing. That was when Kara looked up to see Naruto standing at his desk, wearing a towel very loosely around his waist and one was draped over his shoulders. His normally unnaturally spiky hair was down around his face, still damp, and she could clearly see the muscle she saw from earlier. But she also noticed the only scar he had was on the left side of his chest, right over his heart. Getting over her nervousness, Kara pointed at it before drawing Naruto's attention. "What happened there?" Naruto looked up from his notebook and saw her pointing at his chest. Looking down, he realized she was pointing at his only scar. Placing the notebook down, that was where Sasuke stuck his hand through man's chest. Kara got up and walked to him. Placing her hand on it, she felt his heart beating under the scar. "It is a miracle you survived." Tracing the scar with her finger, she could see how it was jagged, almost burned into him. While she was tracing it, she noticed all kinds of tattoos on his body and left like asking about them later. Naruto softly grabbed her wrist, stopping her from continuing. "Miracles are the work of the divine. Escaping death," Naruto said, "is nothing short of demonic." Dropping her wrist, Naruto walked to his room to get dressed. Dressing quickly in his shinobi gear from the other day, Naruto got ready to leave before seeing Kara standing at his door. "Watching me get dressed, Kara-chan." She blushed before handing over the picture she pulled off the bookshelf. "Was that him?" she asked, noticing him throwing a sad smile at it. "Yeah, it was," he said before pointing to the other two. "The girl was Sakura Haruno. She was in love with him, would have given up everything for him. At one point I tried to go out with her." Kara raised an eyebrow, and nothing, she was in love with him. "But we grew close, almost like brother and sister," Naruto said. "The man behind us was my first sensei and our team leader." Kara's eyes were drawn to the silver-haired man with one eye visible, closed in what looked like a smile. "He's the one who force-drafted you?" she asked, to which Naruto nodded, walking out of his room after grabbing the picture from her hands. Setting the picture back with the others, Naruto told her a little bit more about him. "Yeah, he was one of my dad's students and squad members. He looked out for me when he could, but he wasn't always there. After something bad happened, he spoke with the Hokage, our military leader, and had me force-drafted past the academy and into apprenticeship with him." Kara nodded. "You've had a hard life. I hope we can give you something new to live for." Naruto. "You ready?" she asked, wanting to change the subject for the moment. Receiving a nod from him, she instructed him to place his earpiece in. "John," she said into her own, "2 for pickup." She quickly grabbed his hand and smiled. He squeezed hers lightly in return before they were whisked away in blue light. Naruto decided that while it was fast, the teleporter that the League used left you feeling awkward and weird. Kara saw his queasiness and laughed. "It will pass in a minute and you get used to it, promise." She offered him a smile that he returned. Both heard a clearing of a throat and looked up to the monitor overlook, seeing Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Flash. "Kara, Naruto," Clark addressed the two. Kara dropped his hand before floating up to her cousin, while Naruto leapt up. "Hey there, Sup," Naruto exclaimed from his perch on the railing he landed. "What's up?" "Not much," Superman said, not thrilled with the nickname. Kara and some of the others chuckled slightly. "I see you accepted," Clark said, a bit of bitterness in his tone. Naruto nodded at the statement. "Yup, thought you might prefer that than fighting me." Naruto's eyes closed into what looked like little smiles. "Yes, well," Clark said, driving attention off of the previous night, "we need to create your League profile, as Kara has probably mentioned to you." "Yup, that she did," Naruto said while getting off the railing. "So what do you guys need from me?" Naruto asked, wondering what exactly they would need. John was the one to speak up. "We need a picture of you, as well as a list of abilities, skills, and experience, so we can properly deploy you as well as outfit you with support, should you need it." Naruto nodded and followed John over to the camera on the console. "So I take it you and he are fine?" Clark asked his cousin stiffly. Kara caught it though. "Yes, we are, and if you had the decency to at least see what he's been through instead of what he could be, you'd be fine with him too." Their once good relationship was strained and neither was happy about it. Clark was worried about the Earth and Kara, while Kara was worried about her crush. "I wish being a superhero was easier," Superman thought, while seeing a list of abilities appear next to Naruto's picture. "That is quite the list," Green Lantern said, looking over the resume of experience. "Yeah," Naruto responded, "my squad was a direct combat squad. We basically bailed out other teams that got into a pinch, ran protection detail, and were frontline during the war." "Mind going a few rounds?" Green Lantern asked, hoping to put the new guy in his place. "Show him there were other ways to defeat an opponent rather than killing them." "Only if Superman agrees to fight with you," Naruto said, causing everyone on the overlook to glance his way, cause then it might just be a fair fight. Now everyone looked on as if he'd grown a second head, plus, gesturing to the Man of Steel, "I bet he's got some pent-up aggression he wants to let off." "Deal?" Clark said, agreeing. "What?" Kara shouted at the idiocy of her friend and for her cousin to be agreeing. "Don't worry about it, Kara-chan," Naruto said, waving her off, "it's just a sparring match." "Tough. You are all a bunch of idiots," she glared while he chuckled nervously. "Why do I have a feeling the three of us are gonna regret this?" Naruto asked. "Well, follow us, kid," Green Lantern said, motioning for Naruto to follow. Superman bringing up the rear returned to face Kara. "I promise we'll go easy on him." Arriving at the training room, Naruto saw it to be a plain white room with a bunch of dots lining it all the way around. Superman reached up to his ear. "John, load Metropolis into the simulator." Before Naruto's eyes building became created and solid. "What is this place?" This is amazing. Hard light constructs we use for training new recruits and improving ourselves, Superman said while Naruto went up and touched the buildings pumping a bit of chakra into them. Good, I can channel chakra through these walls. Smirking inwardly, Naruto turned to face his opponents. I heard what you said about going easy on me. The two were surprised that he was bringing that up. Word of advice. Don't. Flinging a set of black eggs onto the ground and disappearing from view behind black smoke. Superman got ready while Green Lantern ignited his ring. Quickly switching to X-ray vision, Clark looked into the black smoke. Let's see what he was hiding. Superman's eyes widened. John, get ready, he multiplied himself. Right after Superman said that 6 clones broke from the smoke and attacked the two. 3 each, they came in at speeds that would rival most of the heroes, but nothing impressive. John quickly started to fire energy blasts at the 3 zoning in on him. He was surprised by their agility. Dodging with easy, John felt like kicking it up a notch, so that ain't gonna be good enough for you, huh? The lead one was almost on top of him when he created a dome on energy before shooting spikes out at the attacking clones. Let's see you get through this hot shot. The clones broke off the attack before any of the spikes could land hits. With pleasure, one of the Narutos spoke before all 3 began running through a series of hand seals and taking a deep breath. Futen. Rinkuda, all the Narutos brought a fist to their stomach while bringing a one-handed ram seal to just below their mouths. 3 compressed wind bullets flew out of their mouths in front of his mask, slamming into the dome. Detonating on impact, they sheared Lantern's shield apart, throwing the man to the ground. Not one to stay down, he quickly recovered before plowing a giant green fist into the closet clone. Seeing it disappear in a poof of smoke, Lantern smirked. 1 down, 3 to go. Both clones leapt into action, one grabbing a kunai, the other grabbing a handful of shuriken. Flinging both at the same time trying to hit him dead on, John was forced on the defensive. Creating an old-school broad shield, John was able to stop the projectiles before sending them back. He only managed to hit 1 clone with the return fire. Seeing it poof out of existence along with the shuriken it had thrown. So the weapons are clones too. I am not going to give away everything in the middle of a fight, the clone responded before closing the distance faster than what John remembered them being. Shit, he thought, has gotten faster. Moving into hand-to-hand combat was not a favorite of John's, he could hold his own, but he wasn't the best. Ducking under a right cross from the blonde, John brought up a haymaker. However, it didn't connect as the clone bent backwards into a flip, bringing his right foot up into John's chin, with enough force to lift him into the air slightly. Completing the flip before John landed, Naruto ran forward and speared him with his shoulder. Knocking him into a nearby building. Ugh, that's gonna leave a mark, John muttered, rubbing his stomach looking for the blonde. Catching sight of him running through another set of hand seals, John realized he shouldn't let him finish. Oh no you don't, John shouted, throwing his hand forward, sending a giant green boxing glove at the clone. Still running through the seals, Naruto actually charged forward, leaping over the boxing glove. Almost finished with the seals in midair, the clone wasn't expecting a spike to shoot up from behind him. But the final clone dispatched, John started to track down Superman. As the 3 barreled down at him, Superman was unimpressed. This was the guy we were worried about. His ego, clouding his judgment, completely forgetting his small scuffle with Naruto from yesterday. Still standing with his arms crossed, believing him to be about as strong as a metahuman, he was not prepared for a chakra-enhanced punch to the face. Nor was he prepared for the lift-off he received when pushed back by the force of the punch. What the hell? Clark thought, that felt like I was just punched by Darkseid. Still in confusion, he didn't expect to see a clone leap off the first one, nor him to throw the third at him. Delivering a double-footed dropkick to his stomach, Superman was pushed into the ground, forming a small crater. The clones, not wanting to give Superman any breathing room, started to prepare. The first drawing a set of shuriken and priming the explosive seals on them with a chakra pulse. Throwing them at the now recovering Man of Steel, he didn't have a chance to destroy them with his heat vision and was hit full force by the exploding weapons. The shrapnel from the weapons being blown up didn't even faze him, nor the explosion itself. But the light blinded him for just a second, which was all one of the clones needed. Finishing a string of the clones, slammed his hand together, Futen. Tatapa. The gust of wind slammed into him, but once more with little effect. Seems you're gonna have to change strategies, Naruto, Superman taunted. Naruto smirked under his mask, I think that can be arranged. Forcing chakra through his hand, it started to glow blue. Uh-oh, Superman said before Naruto slashed it horizontally in front of himself. Yuhasho. Superman saw a wave of blue coming toward him almost as fast as bullet. Raising both arms, he prepared for impact. However, Superman was thrown through a loop when the wind blade not only threw him off balance, but when he felt it cut him. What the hell, Clark mentally cursed, but didn't have time to dwell on it as the clones charged in. Quickly righting himself, Clark pushed off the ground with his super speed and threw a right cross at the clone head-on. Too close to dodge, the clone took the hit and vanished in a poof of smoke. Not wanting to be blinded, Superman spun around to dissipate the smoke. Before blocking a punch from another clone as it closed the gap between them in seconds. Grabbing its outstretched arm, he threw it into a building with enough force to send it through the wall. Catching a glimpse of smoke rising from the rubble, Superman turned to the finally one. Getting ready to attack him, he was surprised to see John shoot a bubble around him, lifting him into the air. "Looks like we win, rookie," John said cockily. "You know I had him, right?" Superman asked with an amused look. "Oh, it's not over," Narrative's voice came from all around. They both looked to make sure he was trapped in the bubble and saw that he was. "Pretty neat trick, bet you could put on a good ventriloquist show," John taunted. Then they heard his laugh, the same as his voice before. "You know. I just might be able to. In the meantime, enjoy the present." The clone in the bubble waved at them, and before they could figure out what he meant, exploded. "Ah, gotta love shadow clones and its explosive brother," Naruto said to himself sitting on a rooftop. He wanted to watch the fight both from above and front row seats. Know thy enemy and know thyself. And you need to fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. Let's show them who the real rookies are, kid. Smirking, Naruto stood up while the other two were recovering. Using Shunshin to drop into the area between the two, Naruto had just finished a set of seals on the roof, Futen. Senpiken. Throwing 2 punches, 1 to each side, Naruto releases 2 whirlwinds that separated the heroes. Moving on Green Lantern first, Naruto delivers a devastating round of punches on his already sore stomach before throwing in a final haymaker to the chin. With Lantern laid out, Naruto could focus on Superman. Leaping away just in time, Naruto managed to avoid a heat blast from Superman. Landing on the side of the building and standing for a second, Naruto looked down at the Man of Steel. But his eyes were not his own. They were bright red with slits. They were so bright they almost looked like they were glowing, just like when Naruto threatened him. However, before the match could continue, Naruto leapt down and surrendered. "Woo, I'm beat, who's game for some lunch?" Closing his eyes for a minute and taking a couple breaths, Naruto opened them to his normal bright blue eyes. Walking over to the downed Green Lantern, Naruto pulled something out of his belt. Showing it to Clark, Naruto explained, "It is a fast-acting supplement that will restore whatever energy he has used up in the spar. It also has the added bonus of waking him up." Superman nodded. "John, can you scan that please?" "Will do, Superman," the two heard over the speaker as the fake Metropolis dissolved in a light show. Superman turned to Naruto. "It's not that I don't trust you, it's just." "You don't trust me," Naruto said, cutting him off, "and that's fine. It shows you being a good team leader, caring for those you work with." Superman was surprised that he wasn't offended and smiled a little. Maybe he will work out after all. "It is as he said," John's voice came over the speakers once more. Superman nodded to Naruto, who dropped the pill into the downed man's mouth before rubbing his throat. A few seconds later, John woke up. "Did we win?" John asked Superman, seeing him standing and Naruto sitting on the floor near him, having moved as to not startle him when he awoke. "Yeah, John," Clark confirmed, "but because he surrendered." "Damn, I was hoping you'd get in a few good hits for me," Stewart said, standing up. "And why do I feel like I could go another 10 rounds?" he asked, stretching a bit. Naruto pulled another pill from his belt, standard issue soldier pill. Replenishes energy in a few seconds from ingestion. Also gives you a slight boost in power. Not much, but enough. Placing the pill back into his belt, Naruto stood up and followed the two out. "Well, thanks, it's a lot better than waking up in the med bay," John said, thanking him. "By the way, nice moves back there, kid. Didn't expect any of that." "Even after you glanced at what I'd done?" Naruto asked. "Plus, let's not forget that you both were with Batman last night," Naruto also said, catching their attention. "How did you, Kara?" Clark asked, then realized how. Naruto nodded in confirmation. "She told me all of you went on the little outing." The two heroes looked between each other as Naruto passed them into the outlook area of the watchtower. "He played us like a fiddle," Lantern said, not angry, but annoyed. "Yes, he did." Both turned to see Batman walking towards them. He had come up to the tower when he heard about the spar. "We watched the fight on the monitor," Bruce said, actually sounding impressed. "He is definitely trained to be a shinobi. He used deception on you at first." Batman started to recall. "Hiding himself so you couldn't tell right away about the clones. Then he had them engage you while he looked on from above. He was probing you to find out the weaknesses in your attack patterns. Never once putting himself in harm's way. It also had the advantage of weakening you, John," Bruce told them, and they were shocked that he was able to plan something like that against two senior members. "Why did he forfeit then?" Stewart asked, confused. "It doesn't make sense. If he had knocked me out that fast, he might have been able to take on Superman for a bit. Hell. He made the big guy bleed." Lantern had noticed the dried blood and already healed cuts on his teammates' arms. Clark answered before Batman. "He got too into the fight." His eyes turned red and slitted. Batman nodded, seeing that happen of the monitor. We checked his ability list, Bruce said with them walking over to the rest of the gathered heroes, Diana congratulating Naruto on such a good job, he left that out, he's a mystery, and one I am glad we have under observation now. The other two just nodded as they reached the rest of the group. So, Naruto began, what else is required, cause I am ready to put my feet on the ground again. And get some lunch. Naruto need to meditate and balance his body out, being off planet away from the natural chakra of the earth was getting to him. Especially after the previous day's activities. Just a physical, John spoke mentioning him to follow. Naruto nodded and followed after before turning around to look at Kara, don't peek on me like you did back at my place Kara-chan. Superman looked to his cousin hoping Naruto was joking, but finding her blushing bright enough to light up the room red, now I wish he hadn't surrendered. The physical was just that, a physical. John gave him an MRI, tested for disease, and scanned his body with an energy scanner. Incredible, John spoke surprised by the readings. Everything okay? Naruto asked. John nodded, just surprised by the differences of humans from your reality versus this one. Anything bad? Naruto asked, confused by what might be different. Nothing bad, he confirmed for the blonde, just different. Shrugging his shoulders Naruto nodded before walking out. Time to get some food, he was hungry after the fight and missing dinner and breakfast, plus drinking all night really didn't help. Do you even know where food is on this hunk of junk? Kurama asked, and Naruto realized he had a point. Sticking his head back into the room, hey where is the food at? John sighed, looking up from some of the readings, I will call Kara and have her take you to the cafeteria. Paging Supergirl, as well as the others who knew about Naruto, the two waited. Naruto opting to wait outside, while John kept looking over the scans. It didn't take long for the paged members to arrive. So why did John page us? Kara asked for the group. I don't know why he paged them, Naruto said gesturing to the others, but I am hungry and he said you could show me to the cafeteria Kara-chan. Kara smiled a little and nodded, sure can Naruto. However, Kara's eyes narrowed dangerously. Shooting forward faster than he expected, Kara punched him in the gut. Hard. Naruto dropped to his knees coughing. That was for making me have an embarrassing conversation with my cousin after you left. Jerk. Naruto stayed on the ground clutching his stomach, Iro-senin is laughing his ass off at me right now. I just knowed. If it helps, so am I, Kurama said through an amused chuckle. Naruto finally got up and the two headed in search of food. The other league members watched the interaction with varying degrees of emotions. Clark was still unsure about the boy, especially when he found out that he was parading around his house in the nude in front of his cousin. Batman saw him as what he was, a soldier trying to move on. Green Lantern was starting to change his opinion of him to that of Flash. Diana looked on with amusement and Wally didn't care either way. Just happy to have a new member. So John, Bruce spoke while entering the room, what did you call us for? Turning to face them for a second, John proceeded to throw the readings up on the larger screen. His physical turned up some interesting things, the Martian spoke. First the MRI showed his bone structure to be almost as dense as Clark's, but half the weight. That got quite a few shocked looks from the veteran leaguers. What else did it show? Batman asked intrigued. He has antibodies in his system that slow poisons down, so he can live longer before treatment. Plus he heals faster than even you Superman. Also just like other humans who cast magic his body possesses an internal bioelectric field. That's how that attack cut me, he was using magic. Superman said glad to know how he was able to do that. However it was short-lived, I said like, didn't say it was magic. He can actually control the flow of this energy and send it out of his body. From what I saw on the video feed and the description I got of his abilities when creating the profile. He uses the hand signs to move the energy to the right points in his body before expelling it, generally into an element of some kind. But that's not all he can do. Great Hera. Diana exclaimed, what else can he do with this energy? Also how was he strong enough to actually go toe-to-toe with Superman? Generally I am the only one that can hit him hard enough for a workout. John showed them the energy scan. His body is filled with pathways, they're onto all the different muscle groups. He can channel the energy into them increasing his strength, speed, endurance, and durability. Batman was the first to get over his shock, it seems his people figured out a way to become living weapons. J. Owen's opinion of the kid had once again switched back to his earlier one, so how do we stop him if he goes rogue? Set his rogue status to Omega, Batman said walking toward the door. Is that really necessary Bruce? Diana asked, confused as to the reason why Batman would make him just as high as Superman on threat level. Yes, the doors closed behind the retreating Dark Knight. Why? Naruto shouted, why don't you guys have ramen up here? Naruto asked downtrodden that his favorite food was not available on the menu. Kara sighed, seriously. Just pick something else. Huffing, Naruto selected a burger and fries, while Kara grabbed a chicken sandwich and salad. The two began looking for a table and Kara found Green Arrow eating his lunch. "Oli," she called walking over with Naruto in tow. Said blonde still grumbling under his breath about the lack of ramen while Kurama was laughing in his mindscape. Setting her tray down she smirked at him, still ogling Black Canary from afar. Oliver glared at the girl, "What's it to you?" Laughing Kara sat down with Naruto following. "Nothing, nothing. Green Arrow, this is Naruto, Green Arrow," she spoke gesturing between the two, who shook hands during her introductions. "You can call me Oliver or Oli when not on a mission," Green Arrow said while shaking his hand. "Well, I go by Naruto, so let's stick with that," he spoke in return with his eyes forming little smiles. The two broke contact and all three turned to their lunch. Naruto pulled his mask down before eating. Oliver leaned over to Kara and whispered, "You were right, he is very cute." Kara blushed, thankful Naruto didn't notice their mini-side conversation. "Don't have a superhero name yet, kid?" Oli asked, trying to learn more about Kara's crush. "Superhero name?" Naruto asked, turning his head to the side. Kara spoke up, "Yeah, so no one finds out your identity and such." Naruto shrugged his shoulders, never needed one before. Even though shinobi records were well guarded, they were always stolen. Oli and Kara both sat trying to think of a name when all three heard a voice, "Shinobi." Turning to it, they came face to face with Batman, his superhero name. "Thanks Batman," Oliver said, mustering the most sarcasm he could. "You took all the fun out of it for the kid." And of course he squirmed under the infamous battler. "Shinobi works, it works really well," he replied quickly to get the glare off him. No matter who it was in the league, Batman scared them all, not because of his methods. Or the fact that he didn't show much emotion. It was because everyone in the league believed Batman was the strongest. A human able to fight metahumans, so most wouldn't go within a 5-mile radius and come out on top. Throwing a keycard down at Naruto's spot, he gave him a look. "Your room on the watchtower is across the hall from Kara's. Your rotation starts in a week." He turned to walk away but was stopped by Kara. What did Clark have to say about where Naruto is staying? She was surprised that they managed to convince her overprotective cousin to let her friend, who was a boy that he had issues with, sleep across the hall. "He doesn't know," Batman said, finally turning around. "I picked them room." Walking away, he cast a glance over his shoulder at Naruto, who got the gesture. "We'll talk again soon." Neither had telepathic abilities, but both could read body language. Naruto knew Batman was going to be paying a visit real soon. "God," Oli said, drawing attention away from the retreating Bat, "that guy is one scary dude." Naruto faced Oli with a questioning look. "Does all the Justice League fear Batman?" Both Kara and Oliver nodded before the latter spoke up. "He carries a chunk of kryptonite on him in case Superman or Supergirl ever go rogue." Kara threw her 2 cents in. "He also keeps personal files on the Bat computer on how to take out the whole Justice League. Clark told me about one instance with the Legion of Doom where they managed to almost kill all of the original members using his plans they somehow stole." "That begs the question on what the man wants," Kurama spoke up from within, having heard the conversation. "I think I know, but we will wait and see." "So," Naruto said, gaining the attention of the other two, "what started your 40 into the hero business, Oli?" But the new topic at hand, the three broke into pleasant conversation for the rest of their lunch. John had managed to teleport Naruto back inside his home with relative ease. "Man, I hate that feeling," Naruto thought, still not used to the teleporter. "Crimea River." Shaking his head, Naruto headed for his fridge, grabbing a bottle of water. "You know," Naruto said to Kurama, "you are gonna have to output some of your power this time." Stepping out of his back door, Naruto made his way through his field. They had grown to about knee-high. It brought a smile to his face, thinking he could create something instead of just destroy. "I am aware," Kurama spoke back, "but it won't be that much, not even close to 1/10 of my power." Reaching a spot of ground Naruto left untouched on the edge of his property, he sat down and began to meditate. First he pushed his own chakra outward until it was almost in the visible spectrum. Kurama, taking this as his K, brought one tali up, causing it to glow slightly before stabbing it into Naruto's mindscape. Breathing in and out slowly, Naruto began to draw in natural chakra. It was a slow process. Naruto hadn't meditated in a few weeks. He didn't feel a need to with the calm buzz of Smallville. However, his trip to Metropolis drained his reserves. The city was screaming out for plant life and nature to return. His pursuing fight with Toyman, causing flashbacks and rage to take hold, didn't help matters. And his goading into a sparring match had tipped the scales. His whole chakra system was out of balance, and it would be a few minutes until it returned. Using advanced control that Naruto learned from the toads, he drew in the natural chakra before pushing it outwards as well. Feeling his reserves and Kurama's start to fill up with the energy, he smiled through closed eyes. "Almost done, big guy," Naruto said to his friend. "Yes, I can feel that." A few minutes later, Naruto cut off the flow of natural chakra and started to recede his back into his body. The Kyuubi had it easier, simply pulling its tail out of Naruto's mindscape. Once finished Naruto stood and stretched, so I guess we are talking earlier than later huh? Turning to a spot in the field, he saw Batman stand up. It is impressive, he said walking toward the blonde, how you are never surprised to see me. Shrugging his shoulders Naruto led the way back to his place. So what was it you were doing back there, Batman asked. Gathering natural chakra. It is for some things I have the ability to do. I have to store it every so often, if I wait too long I run the risk of my control going to shit. I take it chakra is the name of the bioelectric energy you use, Bruce asked trying to get more information on his strange abilities. What? Naruto tried to form the word but couldn't with never before hearing the term. Sighing Batman asked again, the energy that powers your elemental attacks. Oh, Naruto said, yeah that's what we call it. It is the combining our physical and spiritual energies that one possesses. They reached the house and Naruto opened the door. Pulling his mask down Naruto headed for the living room, taking his first swing from the water bottle he brought with him. Taking a seat on the couch, Naruto turned to the Dark Knight, so what did you want to talk about? You? Batman said glaring at Naruto. Ask then, Naruto said back, not bothered by the glare. I need to know your weaknesses, it was something you glossed over in your abilities during your profile, Batman asked. Straight and to the point I like this guy, Kurama said, but added something as an afterthought, well I would, if he didn't give off that creepy Danzo vibe. I told you a lot more last night than I intended, Naruto said his tone getting cold, partly because I respect you more than the others. Partly because I was drunk. Mostly because I am tired of holding on to my past, bearing the weight of what I have done. I wanted peace, I intervened to help a few people, and now I am forced to fight again. Sitting up straighter, Naruto returned Bruce's glare with piercing blue eyes, make no mistake, I will not kill anyone who doesn't deserve it. But I will not compromise myself or my ideals, even to you. What gives you the right to decide it if they live or die, Bruce asked, his voice also becoming ice cold. The lives of those I am protecting give me the right, Naruto stood up to his full height and glared into the unflinching eyes of the Dark Knight, I read up on all of you over the months I have lived here. I respect all of you for fighting for the weak and staying true to your code. Crossing his living room distance in seconds Naruto was right up in Batman's face, but just because you don't actually kill them with your own hands, doesn't mean yours are clean. You've purposely failed to save villains unlike the other league members. Some have survived, others have not. You have no right to judge me or what I have done, Naruto turned from him and began heading to his room, before turning back to Batman once more. I am not planning on killing everyone I might face in battle for the Earth with the Justice League, but I will not leave that option off the table. Walking into his room and slamming the door, Batman got the cue to leave. What if you be Naruto x Supergirl Konoha end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.